And welcome to Phoenix International Speedway here for tonight's Grady Brewer's Bad Boys Boxing 500, presented by NuffWORLD TV. Chase race number 9 of 10, Kevin, and so far Louis Bussa able to get through the hump and still holding on to this nice little points lead he's got coming in here tonight.
That's right, Doug, and what a fitting sponsor for this race, because I'm telling you, this is going to be a knockdown drag-out tonight. The short track that thinks it's a super speedway. Going to be a lot of beating and banging here. Can't wait.
That you are. I'm Douglas Sargent, joined up here tonight with Kevin Kelly in the booth to call the racing action for you tonight. Stephen Mahana back here, our producer, will be giving you all the wonderful shots you see out here tonight. Coming into tonight's race, though, the big story of the chase has been Louis Bussa, and he just missed it last year, Kevin, and this year walking in here has a 47-point lead in the point standings over second place Brian Lee, and 77 points over third place Kevin Kelly Jr. So, I think I read the breakdown. As long as he finishes 19th in the next 2 races or better, Louis Bussa has pretty much got this thing sewn up. But any kind of bad luck, tonight could spell disaster for Louis. We got 31 cars out there tonight ready to take the track, so could be a possibility, Kevin, that things change up here tonight.
Doug, I think the 3 is going to make a statement tonight. I think he's going to go out here, and I think he's going to try and dominate this thing and put everything to rest so he rolls into Homestead as our 2013 VSU Cup champion. So I don't think he's going to let his foot off the throttle at all tonight. I think he's going to hammer down. I think he's probably going to take it easy just in the opening few, maybe the first 25% of this race, but I think he's going to hammer down and come out of here with no doubt that he's going to be the champion going into Homestead.
You may be very right there, Kevin. As it seems like the mentality for Louis here is he wants to put any to rest anything from last year. That's a memory that's still there in his head. He had to chase big lead to chase last year. Last 4 races, it kind of slipped away from him. He lost it. So he's definitely got that mentality tonight. To keep the hammer down, keep doing what he's doing. But some other guys to kind of watch for here tonight that have been able to get around this track very good over the years. The 2 winningest racers here at Phoenix International Speedway, of course, with the 27 of Dale Reynolds and the 29 of Jeremy Enix. Those guys definitely know how to get around here, and Reynolds he's been one of those drivers we've been seeing do really well here lately too, Kevin.
Yeah, and Doug, I'm going to, not really a dark horse here, but I looked at the way the 83 has been running around here tonight, and he has a win knocked down here at Phoenix, and I think he might be the guy to beat tonight. So, maybe the old guy can come in here and spoil the party for some of these guys.
Yeah, Timmy has been looking really good here as of late, and had himself a real good run there on Thursday night too over in the PIR Sim series. So, look for great things tonight from Timmy St. Jean in that 83 machine, as he has definitely been looking, just like you said, Kevin. He's looked good in practice out there, and put up a pretty decent qualifying run. A lot of guys out here tonight, like I said earlier, 31 drivers currently on the grid to start tonight's race. So, that's going to put up for a lot of traffic. And, speaking of traffic, that's one of the keys to the race here tonight, I think, Kevin, is how well you can navigate traffic out here on this track.
Yeah, traffic and tires, Doug, is what I think is going to be one of the 2 of the biggest things out here. Also, that we have a familiar theme, probably 75 to 80% of the races in the chase. We've talked about pit road. And I think pit road is going to be another one of those victims, or claim some victims tonight, as getting in here with old tires on pit road can be a handful. In tire management, we've talked about that as, at various tracks during the year. This place here, I think they'll actually pit earlier for tires than they will fuel. I don't think you can stay out here that long, somebody short pits. The difference in track time is just there's such a vast change between old tires, even like 30, 40 laps versus new. So I don't think you can stay out here on old tires, and I definitely think guys are going to pit before the fuel runs out. So I think the tires are going to run out before the fuel, Doug.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there, Kevin. I know tires are usually wear a lot quicker here than what the fuel will burn off, that's for sure. And especially if you're, this is one of those tracks too that if you're overdriving the car, it's going to tell on you, because that right front is going to blister and burn and blow out, as we saw several times for those of us who were around for Thursday night's race. Over there at the PIR Sim series, that right front tire was a major issue for everybody, you know, after about 30, 40, 50 laps, you know, on these tires. So, you know, that right front can blister quick and blow out. And, you know, any corner here, it doesn't matter where you're out on the track, that right front goes down, you're heading to a hard right into that wall, and it's going to be a good end to that. And just like you said, Kevin, I know I got an opportunity earlier this week to go out there and turn a few laps around Phoenix, and you know, we'll see the broadcast of that here in a bit. But I tell you what, coming down off that little bit at turn 4 out there, trying to jump down into pit road, man, that thing is tough.
Oh yeah, pit road here is really, really tough to get on here, like I said, especially you know, for getting on pit road here, your old tires. You got to watch your brake bias here, as you'll constantly be seeing guys adjusting that brake bias from the back to the front. You get too much brake in here in the rear, Doug, you know you will wheel hop that car. Next thing you know, you're around in front of everybody. And this is another one of those tracks we talked about, like Martinsville. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to go. If you've got issues and you wreck here, you're basically going to be right in the middle of the racing groove. It's pretty narrow here, so a lot of stuff to dodge here at this Phoenix racetrack.
You're right about that. There really isn't nowhere to hide here. Small track, thinks it's a super speedway, just like you said it there earlier, Kevin. And you know, it's one of those things. As we take a look here at the video, Steven, I think you've got it queued up. Had a good little video put together here, you know, from my time on the track a few days ago. Got the opportunity, like I say, to take one of the NuffWORLD cars out here, kind of take a few laps around the track. The production crew done a heck of a job out there. You know, they got the one camera angle here, as most of you will see. You know, kind of gives you, it's going to give you an idea of what it's like to get a car in the pack. You know, second car, so exactly what you're going to be seeing in front of you, as well as getting that nice in-car view here. But you know, it kind of gives you the idea, and this is one of those tracks that if you get down into those corners and you haven't hit the brakes just right, you haven't got in there, Kevin, it's going to give you that sensation. It's going to slide right up the track and open that bottom line up for you. So this is a track that's really going to, you know, it's going to depend upon how you drive that thing. And you know, if you get down in there and you miss your braking point, you're going to slide right up in the corners, and it's going to slide you up to the high side. You open up that inside line. And, you know, as we've seen week after week, a lot of cars, that inside line is open. It's going to take advantage of that, and you're going to get freight trained out there on that outside line. You know, lose 2, 3, possibly up to 10 positions, as we've seen before. And like I say, coming down that long front stretch, you know, you're going to carry quite a bit of speed in there. You're going to have to drop that thing. You're going to have to get down from about 160 down to about 120 or so, getting in that corner, and shoot back out of it anywhere from 135 to 140, and then down that back stretch, even with that dog leg, you're going to be upwards around the 170 mile per hour mark. So, you know, it's one of those tracks that definitely has a super speedway feel as you're coming down the front and the back stretches. You're carrying a lot of speed down in there, but you've really got to get her slowed down. And just like you said, you know, throughout the night, you're going to see guys playing with that brake bias adjustments. That's one of the things, you know, that if you dial too much into the back of that thing, it's just going to spin that rear end around, just like you said, Kevin. And as we take a look here, it was, you know, that's just kind of, you know, thing that it is, that rear end will come around on you so quick, it's almost like a hiccup. You don't even see it coming. But then at the same time, if you got too much dialed down into the front of that car, it will not turn. So you're going to see a lot of guys playing around, just like you said, with the brake bias adjustments tonight. And getting on pit road, you know, that is always a tricky thing. We've seen week after week, you know, it's a recurring theme here. Guys having trouble with that pit road entrance, and the big thing that I kind of look for here tonight, Kevin, we didn't discuss it either, is, you know, looking at coming into pit road there, that 3 sets of those barrels coming into pit road right there. It wouldn't surprise me to see some of those get you know, wiped out tonight, as we've seen happen over the course of time. So that's another little obstacle per se to add to the things here at Phoenix. But let's you know, step away here for a couple seconds, get the national anthem fired up, get that thing you know, get it played here on this Veterans Day weekend, and we'll be back with live racing action after this. And welcome back live here at Phoenix International Speedway with tonight's starting grid here from the Bad Boys Boxing 500. Starting out on the pole position tonight will be the number 27 of Mr. Dale Reynolds. Running outside pole tonight will be the 04 of Justin McLucas. Third place will be the number 4 of Dennis Wright. Starting in fourth will be the number 3 of Louis Bussa. Starting in fifth will be the 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr. Starting out sixth, Chuck Garcia. And seventh tonight will be Rod Partridge. Starting eighth will be Jay Richards. Starting in ninth, Timmy St. Jean, and rounding out the top 10, the number 7 of Howard Wildrich.
Starting P11, got the 31 of Alex Montefiore. Starting position 12, 55 of Dwayne Hall. Starting 13th, the number 16th of Brian Lee. Starting 14th, 76 of Joshua Biddle, excuse me. Starting 15th, the 5 of Kyle Lent. And starting, we're getting ready to go green here. We're not good. It shows just how short this track is, Doug. They get around here pretty quick.
Yeah, these guys do, and the green flag is out. We've got live racing action here, just like you say, Kevin. It goes by really quickly here for these guys as Dale Reynolds down on the outside, McLucas up on his outside. Looks like Reynolds going to be able to clear him here, coming up off into the dog leg here, getting into the dog leg, and Reynolds takes over the number 1 position right off the bat, starting on the pole as they head down into turn 3. So good clean start for these guys tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, and right now they're waiting for the tire pressures to come up. Everybody's kind of driving on ice right now, on sticker tires, and just waiting for it to settle. It'll be a good 10 to 12 laps where they feel like the car is underneath them, the brakes are hot, and you see the 4 slide way up the hill in turn 1, Doug.
Yeah, he definitely, we talked about a little bit there in pre-race, you get down in that corner right there, especially at turn 1, and if you don't hit your braking point, Kevin, we see exactly right there what could happen. You carry too much speed up in there, the car just goes right up the hill. And now he's still stuck up on that outside, trying to find his way to get back down that inside line as several cars got underneath him. And there's still cars underneath him getting down into turn 1 right here. Looks like he's still up there on that outside. Isn't getting any brake, isn't going to be able to get down. So it might be a little while before he can get back down there. As it looks like there may have been just a little bit of contact there coming off the turn 1.
Yeah, the 7 car cut him some slack right there. Figured, that's a little early, man. I'll let you down. But it looks like he's having trouble, Doug, keeping that car down on the line there. So maybe the pressure's come up to go ahead and put it down there, but he's not able to get down towards that white line. If you see the 7 climb the hill and the 55 get underneath of them going into 2.
Yeah, we got a lot of cars back here, and it's kind of surprising to see cars this early, too wide like this, Kevin. But there's a lot of these cars too wide back here through the pack and stuff, still kind of fighting things out. But a lot of them have already done figured out, as we got Alex Montefiore up there. He's still on that high side trying to do what he can. He's the last car left up there to be too wide. He's going to be able to drop down into it. Well, I was going to say he'd be able to get down there, but looks like he overshot turn 1, still way up on the high side there. So, those guys, you see a lot of tire smoke there in turn 1. Some of these guys are still working on that brake bias that we talked about, Kevin.
Yeah, somebody we really didn't talk a whole lot about at the beginning of the show, Doug, was another guy in here that runs really, really fast. They showed up late. Didn't get much practice time. It's 48 of Travis McKinney. Look for him to be a player tonight. I think we just about got everybody single file now and straightened out. They figured out that they're going nowhere fast side by side. So great battles at the early part here in the first 3 or 4 laps, and these guys are all settled in right now.
Yeah, these guys, a lot of these guys, Dennis Wright still up on that high side, though. There may be something with that car, like you said, Kevin. It just don't seem like he's able to dive it down into the corners like what we're seeing some of the others. But Wright still up on that high side, running the high side through 1 and 3. So it's very, very interesting to see guys running that high side right now. I don't know if it's just something the way the car is set up for him, or if the car just isn't handling exactly the way he would want it to be. But, his field is pretty well stretched out right now. Dale Reynolds has, fell back a little bit from the lead in the 3rd position now as Justin McLucas takes over the lead up in the number 1 position.
Yeah, we're talking here on the radio that all of a sudden the car went tight, so not a good sign so early in the race as we see him climbing the hill again in 3 and 4. He's probably going to give up 2 more spots right there, Doug. So this is not the signs that you want to see out of your car. If it's tight right now, when the tires get worn, that right front, you're not going to be able to turn it anymore. It's going to keep getting tight. So he's already lost 4 positions, and the car is definitely not looking like it's handling like it needs to be. He needs a caution to get in here and get that thing fixed.
But I tell you one who has the car, Kevin, that you know, is looking good right now. We talked about it a little bit there in pre-race. That number 3 of Louis Bussa already climbed up into the number 2 position and putting a lot of heat right now on Justin McLucas, as McLucas looks like may have missed his braking point right there. And Louis Bussa shoots underneath, takes over the lead. So move Louis Bussa up into the number 1 position. He's already starting to do away with this thing, just like we talked about. That he's out here to prove something, and he's already moved that car up to the number 1 position.
Yeah, 2 guys on the move. The 87 Kevin Kelly Jr. in 3rd after starting 5th, and the 47 is Jay Richards right there, a newcomer. He's shot up there too, and his guys are looking pretty good. They're setting some distance on the 27. And behind the 27, it's basically about a good second and a half to 2 seconds back to the 55 of Dwayne Hall, the 24 of Chuck Garcia, and the 7 of Howard Wildrick. So these guys are, you know, trying to let these things settle in a little bit, but we got like a 5-car breakaway up front. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys can reel this lead pack back in.
Yeah, definitely going to be, as these guys have got away a bit here, so they stretched it out a little bit. But Kevin Kelly Jr. is looking good out there in that number 3 position right now. Kevin is he's coming along very nicely out there, solidly running in the 3rd position, and you know, he's pulled up a little bit closer to McLucas lap after lap. So he's definitely got that car underneath him tonight. As we got a car spun off the track down there in turn 3 or 4. Looks like it's the 61 machine. So you know, is able to keep it green though. He's off the track.
Yeah, the 87. In the spring race here at Phoenix, they had a dismal finish. They had a 23rd finishing position. I think they started outside the top 15 in qualifying last year. Never could get a handle on this track, and ended up finishing 23rd. But they said they were going to come back and learn what they did wrong and figure out how to drive this thing. So the youngsters figured it out right there. So, and behind them, we're looking at the 55. He's kind of stretched himself away from the 7, Doug, and he's catching the 27 here. So the 55 is on the move also.
Yeah, and one of the cars I want to highlight real quick, Kevin, guy we talk about quite a bit from time to time, but Steve Dale out there driving the number 41. He's running a very special paint scheme out here tonight you know, supporting the release of a new album coming from a band of rockers that's been around for quite a few years, and most of us hair metal guys especially know it, is the new Striper album out here that just hit the shelves here lately, the No More Hell to Pay. And from my understanding, Steve Dale running that special paint scheme in honor of a good friend of his, Michael Sweet, he says, so lead singer of that group. So want to kind of get a couple seconds to kind of look at that car, and I'm telling you, Steve done a very nice job on the paint scheme on this vehicle.
Hey, these guys put a lot of time into these paint schemes, and you know, a lot of original ideas. A lot of these guys don't copycat things they've already seen. They like going out and designing their own paint schemes, and all the practice that they put in during the week and all that. And a lot of guys, Doug, have a lot of time and skill and work ethic and everything else in the cars themselves and the driving and all that. So not just a hobby to come out here, it's a full-time job for some of these guys.
Yeah, exactly that, you know, and you know, for, like I say, that's a band that has endured the test of time, so to speak. They've been around for quite some time. I know I'm personally a big fan, and I know Steve had put up on his Facebook web page there. He had, you know, doing this for a special, you know, paint scheme to support that release. So figured, you know, Steve put all the time into it. We could give him a little airtime there, show that is a great looking paint scheme. But, you know, looking back up to the front here, it looks like, you know, these guys, Louis Bussa has kind of, you know, pulled himself away a little bit. Got about a little over half a second lead right now over McLucas now that he's been able to get around him, and pulled about a 1.1 back to Kelly Jr. in 3rd. So these guys are looking really well out here tonight. Louis Bussa especially, you know, looking like, you know, just like you said, he's got something to show and something to prove, and he's not laying down, even though he's got that chase, you know, well at hand right now. Yeah,
breaking news on the out of the pits, Doug. The 27 actually had qualifying tire pressures in that car, and was dropping like a rock. And hearing now that they might have also had qualifying tape on that car. He's on pit road. What a costly mistake at the beginning of this race.
Oh, wow. As we got a caution out on the speedway. But, yeah, just like you said, Kevin, that is a, unfortunate you know, situation to be in there. If you're Dale Reynolds in that 27 machine, you know, crew chief, or you know, forgot to pull the tires out, well, the tire pressures out of the tires they were going to reuse for qualifying, you know, and also left that tape on there. So that was definitely a costly error on part of the crew chief right there. He'll definitely have to some time to make up now, and hopefully, you know, he didn't get out there and put too much heat into that engine and cause some any kind of engine problems with that engine for later in the race, Kevin.
Yeah, and you know, to add insult to injury, they turn around, they come in, and decide that they're going to, you know, make the change right there, and then the caution comes out the very lap that they come in. So what a bad break. You know, if we all had a crystal ball and knew that the caution was going to come out, we would all wait for different things right there. But tough break for the 27. They had the tire pressures, you know, up to qualifying, which we all know they pump those tires up so that they can get them to turn during qualifying. And basically, a lot of these guys run their qualifying setups very close to the race, just probably tape and tire pressures, and you know, they didn't, from what we're hearing, they had the tape right, but just had the tire pressures wrong and couldn't stand it anymore. He had to hit pit road, and wham, the caution comes out. So tough break for the 27. We'll have to see if he's able to do a wave around here to get a lap back.
Yeah, and it looks like most of the leaders heading down pit road right now. Travis McKinney, the one lone car, looks like staying out back there, Kevin. But you know, all the other leaders, you know, take advantage of that opportunity, you know, to get down pit road, get some tires on that thing, kind of get an idea. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. Like we said, you know, pit road will play a factor in here tonight, and we've seen pit road play some factors just in of itself, Kevin. You know, guys having some issues on pit road with broken air guns, or, you know, trying to get in and out of their boxes. So, you know, we'll see if those factors play any tonight as well. But you know, Paul Hahn stays out. Looks like he's going to lead a lap right there. So that'll give a bonus point to Paul Hahn, as a few cars actually have stayed out. Looks like Gutierrez also, and John Lawler stayed out as well.
Yeah, we see the 04 getting out of pit road first, followed by the 3 of Louis Bussa. And the 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr. Great stop. The 47 of Jay Richards and the 55 of Dwayne Hall off pit road in that order. So, and look who's sitting in 6th. Somebody we don't talk about to the end of the race every time, Doug. The 16 of Brian Lee, poking his head here early up inside the top 10. So we're going right here. I guess we got the replay up, Doug, for what happened with that caution.
Yeah, I'm hearing from everything I've heard so far. It involved the 83 of Timmy St. Jean. I know we spoke about him there during the beginning of the race there, but it looks like he's coming off of turn 4 there, just kind of, you know, rear end came right around on him, and the number 5 of Kyle Lent, nowhere to go, tried to go high to get around him, but that car, once it broke that 90-degree angle, you know, started sliding up towards the wall, and, you know, has nowhere to go, and T-bones the 83 as he comes around there. I tell you what, though, the 48 of Travis McKinney, we talked about it a little bit earlier. You know, that young man just kind of scraped through there. I don't know how he missed it. You couldn't fit a piece of paper between the two of them. But the 5 car, not so lucky. Gets right into Timmy, sends him on around the rest of the way, and both those cars with quite a bit of damage, unfortunate for the 83 and the 5 car tonight.
And it's towards the end of the season, and you just want to get a good run and get out and go to the next one. You know, for a lot of these guys, the season is over. You know, they want to get in here, have a decent run, have a chance to win, and load the haulers up and head south and get to Homestead for the last race of the season. So hopefully didn't do too much damage to those guys. They can make adjustments and get the cars, you know, working here. It's not really an aero track, but you do need some downforce in the front of that thing. So 48, the 83 and all that, you got to wonder about some of that damage, although it looks like it might be a lot of the side damage. Like you said, he got T-boned right in the side there. So we'll see what kind of adjustments they can make. Long way to go, and Timmy's a veteran. He'll know how to fix that thing to make it competitive. As we see our lucky dog take off right there, so that means we're getting ready to go green.
Yeah, St. Jean's one of those guys that, you know, he can take a damaged race car and definitely fix it the way he needs to and get that car running at least half competitive, we'll say, you know, more than just making the minimum speed out there. So look for him. But unfortunately, we talked about, you know, you even talked about there in a pre-race, Kevin, you know, that would be per se a dark horse. Been looking good here lately, knows his way around here, but You know, that's definitely going to add to the frustration of the night and make it that much harder, as if it wasn't hard enough getting through this field, getting up to front. But that's going to add a little more. That'll add make it a little trickier to get to the front and win this thing tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be our first restart tonight, and we're going to see what these guys have made for adjustments here. A lot of guys are going over to scuffed tires for longevity here. And I always got nervous on the restarts here because, like I said, the cars for the first 9 or 10 laps, especially in the dog leg in the back, they felt like they were floating on air until those tire pressures came up. So can't wait to see what the youngster, the 04 here, has got planned up his sleeve. And like I said, the 3, I look for him to try to drive around on the outside and take the lead and pull away from these guys.
Yeah, that's a good call there, Kevin. I mean, you know, Louis Bussa, that number 3 machine, he's definitely a veteran out here. He knows how to get his car around the track. We got the green flag flies there. Looks like most of the field got a very good restart there. McLucas leading the way, heading down into turn 4 there. But, excuse me, turn 1. But they're side by side, him and Louis Bussa. Louis Bussa still holding hard up there on the outside. McLucas drives it up off the bottom, coming down towards the dog leg, and slides up the hill just a touch there. But still has that inside line side by side with Louis Bussa. But Bussa got some speed getting down into 3. And they are still side by side, and looks like Bussa is going to pull away right here as we got a caution out on the speedway here. Didn't see, looks like that one may have happened back in the back of the pack there, Kevin. Not quite sure what happened.
Yeah, trying to scan back and see what happened on that whole deal there. Not sure. I'm sure Bussa's working on it right now to figure out what happened there. But hearing maybe, nope, trying to listen for some chatter on the radio. Not sure. I guess we'll find out together, Doug. Looks like the 28, hearing the 28 in the radio, had some issues there, and they had to bring the caution out. So replay's up, Doug. We'll see exactly what happened to the 28.
Yeah, it looks like as they come down into the corner right there, the 28 checked up. Oh, wow. And that 5 car of Kyle Lynn, almost like the brakes weren't even working. He got in there very hard, had a heck of a run coming down into the dog leg right there. Looks like the 28 may have checked up just a little bit, and the 5 got there in a hurry, just got him in the rear end, and around that car went.
Yeah, he's basically, when a guy checks up in front of you like that, you're not paying attention, you'll run right over that guy. There's nowhere to go. So the 5 has just been in a couple now. You know, he's thinking, my God, I got a target on me here. You know, in this place, Doug, we've seen it in years past. We're good for, you know, a couple cautions here and there in the first part of the race, and then these guys settle in and get on long green flag runs here. So I know the leaders here, they just want to get going and you know, get stretched out here and get this thing. But they, like that old saying, cautions breed cautions. So I don't look for anybody up in the top 15 to come in. They only ran about a lap or so. They'll stay out here. They still haven't figured out what the cars are going to do in these new changes. So I don't think anything's going to change up front.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, Kevin. You know, I don't see the whole change up there in the front. The guys are there are you know, going to kind of keep those positions right now. And you know, Louis Bussa though did make, he hung tough out there. We say that, you know, that outside line is not the easiest way to get around out here, Kevin. But Louis Bussa hung right there with McLucas all through turn 1 and down the dog leg. And you know, coming off of 4 there, looks like he just had a lot better drive coming up off the corner there in 4 than what McLucas did, and cleared him just before that caution came out. So Louis Bussa looks like he's got that car definitely set up tonight, Kevin, to drive up off the corner hard and fast.
If you have a car that turns really good through here the corner, you know, especially in the early stages, you can be on the outside and get a good run coming down the hill off the corners here, and that's exactly what the 3 did. Pretty much thought that's how he was going to attack that. I thought it would be in 1 and 2, but it ended up being in 3 and 4 that he was able to get the advantage. So good to be out front. That means you get to pick your lane here. So be curious to see where he's going to start. He's probably going to start on the 3, but I'm sorry, on the bottom. But you know, Doug, we saw a bunch of cars side by side there, and sometimes when you're that car on the bottom and that car on the top pinches you down, the right rear of that car gets so light, you're basically stealing the air off the side of that car. We almost saw a couple cars get sucked around, and sometimes being on the bottom like that on a restart is not a good place to be.
Yeah, you're exactly true about that, Kevin. You know that inside, and especially if you're stuck down there on the inside, once you get through the entry of the corner, you know, having that air sucked off like that, and through the middle, you know, once you start to come up off the corner, you really your whole mindset is to slam that throttle down and come hard up off that corner, you know, to try to get that speed and heading down the back stretch or the front stretch, whichever the case may be. But unfortunately, if you're the car that's down there on the inside and you get pitched down there like that, you're really not able to get back to the throttle either, and you know that causes you to lose speed. It causes all the guys behind you to check up, and also gives the advantage to that outside line. Then with them having the ability to jump right back on the throttle and pull it coming down the front or back stretch, whichever the case may be. But adds to if you're on the inside, that, like I say, that could be a hard spot to try to hold on to things if you're down there, especially if you get pinched down there.
Yeah, if you get loose down there and have to chase that thing up the hill, it's a nightmare for the guy that's above you. Pretty much you can stay on that car and it'll save you from spinning out, but basically that guy on the outside, he's got nowhere to go but the wall. So a bad place to be up there, and usually you end up knocking the toe in and toe out of those cars just by brushing the wall up there. So it has its advantages being on the bottom. It has its disadvantages. We see the 3 selects the bottom lane here. So the 47 had a really good restart, Doug, last time, and I look for him to have another one here to challenge.
Yeah, that 47 definitely had himself a real good restart. So those guys are, like I say, that 47 crew, of Richards has been showing a lot here lately as we got the green flag fly, and looks like everybody's going to get up to speed well here. Don't see no issues. As the pack comes around, heads down into turn 1, looks like Louis Bussa is going to pull ahead of McLucas right there through the middle of the turn, and is going to clear him coming up off the corner there, heading down into dogleg. McLucas settles back down into second, but Kelly Jr. is still stuck up there on that high side in the 4th place position right now.
Yeah, that's kind of the sucker hole. You got to hurry up and get down, but you got to pick and choose your battles. We saw the 4 car get stuck out there earlier, Doug, and man, he went right straight to the back. So going back to the field here, man, we've got some serious battles going on, Doug. You're 2 and 3 wide.
Yeah, I'm looking back here around the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and so on, Kevin. And these guys were 3 wide for 2 quarters right there. And man, it was some crazy action going on out there. Those guys, they were going at it there for a couple of moments like it was the last lap or something. Howard Wildrick especially, he's been down on the inside. Steve Dale clears him up on the outside. But those guys, like I said, Kevin, they were 2 wide, 3 wide all through the course there. They were all over the place. It was, like I said, you would have thought it was the last lap the way those guys were running those cars, man, because they were just about everywhere, every inch of the racetrack right there. But I tell you, I'm looking back up front here, Kevin, but looks like we got us a new player up front. And the 55 of Mr. Dwayne Hall has pulled that car up into the number 3 position right now and closing quickly on McLucas.
Yeah, he's shown some muscle very early in the race here, and seems to have dialed that car in. He's getting into the corner really good, right down to the white line in 3 and 4, and looking really good coming off. So they all look pretty much evenly matched coming off, but the 55 out of the top 4 to me looks it right there. Can really get into the corner really good. As we see that, the 47 is digging down there also. Right now, the 55 and the 47 look like 2 of the fastest cars to me on the track right now.
Yeah, Dwayne Hall and that 55 is definitely, just like you say, Kevin, he is really able to get down into that corners in 3 and 4 and also in 1 and 2, as I'm hearing the 28 is around out there on the track, but is able to get down on the bottom of the track, as well as the 64 and John Lawler. So Jenkins and Lawler both around on turn 1 right there, both off the track though, able to keep things green. But like I was saying, Dwayne Hall seems to be able to really dive that thing down into the corners there and get a heck of a run up on McLucas, and pulls right up close to the bumper there, but McLucas pulls him just a little bit coming off the corners. So it's going to be one of those things there. If McLucas makes the slightest little mistake getting into 1 or 3, Dwayne Hall is going to dive that car right underneath him.
Yeah, and as we see the 55 getting up on the 04, the 04 is making time up on the 3. He's changed his line up a little bit, running about a half lane lower than the 3 does. And we can see, or higher I should say, right there. He's able to arc that car through the corner and carry a lot of speed coming off. So the 3 is not getting away with this thing. They're hanging right in there. The 55 just dives it down low. The 04 has no choice but to get that spot up, and he moves up into second place coming out of 2.
Yeah, exactly. This is just what we talked about. You know, Lucas missed his braking point there. It looked like just a little bit. Dwayne Hall just dives it down hard into the bottom, you know, right there, and takes it right on around. So, you know, moves Dwayne Hall up into the number 2 position, setting sights right now on Louis Bussa and that 3 car as he pulls right up to the bumper of Bussa going into turns 1 and 2. So, you know, Louis Bussa right now is looked like Dwayne Hall was about to make a move and look underneath him there. But looking right behind him too, McLuke is currently under fire from the 47 of Jay Richards right now. So we got a couple of good battles going on here right now, Kevin.
Yeah, we do. And you know what? If you're the 3 right now, yeah, you want to come out of here and make a statement. But the last thing you want to do, Doug, is go out here and get yourself wrecked. The 55 is so much better going into the corner. The 3 is right now. He's got to be careful that, you know, the 55, I'm sure it wouldn't intentionally dump the 3. But, you know, when you got a run like that, it's hard to slow down. So, you know, we mentioned the points leader has a 47-point lead. But the last thing you want to do is come out of here on the wrecker and finish in dead last and lose that point lead and give that second and third guy, you know, some new life. And you're on a hauler and you're sitting there dependent on racing your butt off next week. So as we see the 3 get right down to the line. So the 3's got to kind of watch it. You got to race offensively, but you also got to take care of your situation as he wants to try to extend this point lead going into Homestead.
Yeah, and I tell you, Kevin, I don't know, you know, Louis Bussa may not be, you know, per se running full throttle or running all out right now with that car, but, you know, Dwayne Hall has been able to track him down, so to speak, and stay right with him so far. Hall just looking for Louis Bussa. They're coming up on the 28 of Dennis Jenkins here, lap traffic. Jenkins moves to the bottom down on the apron there, so it looks like Jenkins is going to be heading to pit road. But, you know, just like you said, if you're Louis Bussa, at some point you may just want to pull over and let that 55 go, because he's definitely a lot faster, especially getting down into the corners right now. And, you know, just like you said, you get down in there too hard, too fast, and it's easy to put that car, you know, into the back of another, and, you know, you can put that one on the hauler, and that is definitely not what Louis Bussa wants out here tonight.
Yeah, 55 is so much better getting into the corner. And you know, as he makes the move coming out of 3 and 4, going to slide up just a little bit, almost make contact there. Is give that lap to the 55. He's going to lead that one there as they go off into 1. Smart decision by the 3, although I don't really think he had much of a choice there, Doug. He just took it.
Yeah, it looks like he was up just a little bit off of that middle lower line there, Kevin, and Dwayne Hall saw that, you know, and put that car right there on the bottom of the track where, you know, he needed to and knew that that car was fast, and Louis Bussa had no other choice really than to slide up just a little and give him room at that point, you know, or get the car dumped, so to speak, you know. So move the 55 of Dwayne Hall up into the number 1 position, and now with Dwayne Hall out there, and now we got that clean air, it's going to be interesting to see just, you know, how fast that car is up here once he gets into that clean air.
Yeah, and he just brushed the wall right there, just bumped it just enough. It's not going to hurt a whole bunch. The only thing you really got to worry about is yanking that spoiler back just a little bit and losing some of the downforce on the back area of that car. So he looks to be okay. But like I said, you know, they need that side force on the side of the car, that side bite, as you hear the drivers talk about all the time. Sometimes when you hit the wall like that, you hook that spoiler into the wall and it'll actually pull that spoiler crooked and pull it down. So you'll lose downforce there. And here in the 46s around, Doug.
Yeah, he's out there. He nailed those barrels we talked about a little bit earlier, Kevin. Looks like, you know, I don't know exactly what was happening there, but he came down. Looked like he may have lost it a little bit. And he popped that barrels right there heading down into pit road, and looks like that was expired the engine on that car as he drifted it off the track really quickly and takes it to the garage. So Aaron Groskoff, first race back here, an old nuffer from years ago, making the transition over, and definitely a short-lived race on his return tonight, unfortunately for Aaron. So good to see him back here out here on the track with Nuff World, but you know, we're going to be watching this one from the hauler tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, and that's a shame, you know, making his debut here tonight, coming back, trying to get some racing under his belt. So look for those guys to probably show up at Homestead and turn some laps. But the top 6 right now are really going at it, Doug. We can see the replay of the 46's misfortune there. Oh, got somebody around the front stretch, Doug. Looks like the 41 of Steve Deo right at the start-finish line.
Yeah, a lot of smoke out there, Kevin, but unfortunate. Like I say,
Oh, the
Groskopf looks
55
like
spins, and he collects the, oh my goodness. The 55 spun, Doug, got right up into the 04. They, man, kept it going. The 87 had to take a phase of action, go low. Almost a really big wreck there with the 55 and the 04 down there in turn 1 and 2.
wow, interesting turns going on out here tonight, Kevin. We're trying to cover, the misfortunes there of Groskopf, and we have that. The leader spins out there, and about collects several other cars. So things are definitely, it's business is picking up here as we're close to the end of the season here. But yeah, Hall looks like he just got up there. It kind of went up the hill a little bit on him and overcorrected there. Got up into the 4. A lot of cars jumping down onto that apron down there in the dog leg, making some crazy evasive maneuvers there. And that's one of the things. If you're one of those guys behind him, when that happens, and you got to jump down that apron, Kevin, that can really upset the car and could cause other problems for cars around him, because once you jump down there on that apron and then jump back up on the track, that can cause that rear end of that car to really break loose quick on you.
Yeah, and it was so crazy. It jumped loose with him, and then he went to correct, and all of a sudden it caught traction and bit, and he went right straight up the track. The 04 was just lucky he wasn't taken completely out right there, and the 55, they tried to gather up, and like you said, everybody was just trying to avoid. And what usually happens, Doug, here, you hit that bottom and you usually de-wedge these cars, so hats off to all those guys hanging on, to save the race cars there. But look what this has done for the 3, Doug. He has clean air. Oh, the 64 spins right in front of the leader. That was close.
Yeah, a lot of guys, it looks like turn 1 is definitely the tricky spot out there. It looks like right now at this current time on the track, Kevin, is a lot of these guys are having some troubles with turn 1, and I'm starting to wonder, if maybe some of these guys might have too much brake dialed into the rear brakes right now, Kevin, and getting down into turn 1 there is just causing that rear end to kick out on them. It kind of looks like what the case was there with the 64 of Lawler.
Yeah, that was close. We talked about things out of your control, and you can't hide anywhere. As we say, the 47 get up in the fence. The 87 is going to dive down low, coming through 3 and 4, and he's going to take that position and slide in front of the 47 and move up into second place for the youngster there, the 87.
Yeah, Kelly Jr. is he's driving a very smart race out there tonight, Kevin. He's definitely doesn't look like he's overdriving that car. It looks like the car is very comfortable for him at this position. At this time of the race, he's been running up there at that top 5, biggest most of the night since we went back to green, and he's kind of taking advantage there. Like I say, the 47 of Jay Richards looks like he just kind of got a little high there in the corner. Junior does this thing that any driver is going to do, is going to slide right underneath us. We got a caution out on the speedway. Looks like we might have a car around somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe debris on this one, Kevin, from from the various incidents we've seen so far.
Yeah, just crazy turn of events. We've only run 56 laps here. I think we've ran the gamut on everything, Doug. We've seen spin outs. We've seen miscues on pit road. We've seen barrels being hit. I mean, we've seen everything in less than 60 laps here. So if the first 60 is this exciting, what holds for the rest of the race?
Yeah, I was going to say there, Kevin, we've had all this happen already. We still got 260 laps to go here tonight. So if this is any indication of how this race is going to go tonight, there's going to be ourselves as well as, looks like the 88 of Ed Wilson just kind of lost it getting down into 3 and 4, and about halfway around just got T-boned right there. It looks like several other cars involved. Looked like might have been the 12 of, or the 42, I'm sorry, of Dan Pearl. So very interesting turn of events right there with Ed Wilson just kind of lost it right there. Looks like he was on the inside of the 24 of Garcia. The rear end just came around. The 7 gave him just a touch of a shot, couldn't slow down. And then the 42 comes in there and gets involved in it also. So very, tense moment there for several drivers in that mess.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable these guys are going through in the early stages of these races here. Look for some serious tire pressure adjustments and track bar adjustments. Some of these guys were so loose off of 3 and 4 that it was crazy. We saw a couple guys spinning off of 1 and 2 also. So there's going to be some track bar adjustments, I think, made down on these cars. and I think some tire pressure adjustments all the way around. These guys are just too loose early on in the runs of this race. If they're this loose now, later on they're going to be wrecking loose. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because what's going to happen, I mean, like you said, Kevin, you know, if these cars are this loose right now, you know, we start getting further into these fuel runs, and that fuel starts burning off in the tank right there. It's just going to cause that, you know, the rear of that car to get lighter and lighter as that fuel is burning off, and, you know, less weight there in the rear end. So, you know, if these guys are already starting to go around like this, like you said, there's definitely going to be some adjustments on the car, because as that fuel burns off and we start getting longer and longer into these fuel runs tonight, that rear end is just going to keep getting lighter and lighter as the fuel burns off, and it's going to cause that rear end to just get so light that it's going to be a handful to try to keep under control.
Yeah, you can't, you know, sometimes the crew chief has got to be in there and the driver's ear saying, look, man, I know you want to go, I know it's turning good right there and all that, but you have to start thinking about tire preservation. You can probably only run really, really hard here for about 5 or 6 laps, and then you got to settle in and let your chassis do the work for you. If you go out here and beat these tires to death for like 15, 20 laps, you're going to pay on the back end. And I think that's what we saw with some of these guys that were having so many issues. The 55 was really, really fast, Doug, and then all of a sudden the car just started getting loose on him. So he was probably punishing that right rear tire just a little bit. So look for these guys, settle down just a little bit, make some chassis adjustments and tire pressure adjustments. And I think we'll have a nice long run here. I think everybody knows what they have. They know what they need for adjustments. They came in, they got 4 tires, and I think they're going to settle in, have a nice run here.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, a lot of these crew chiefs are probably already, like you said, Kevin, already in the ears of these guys. Hey, you know, let's settle things down here. Let's start settling it down, start thinking about, like you said, tire preservation, because, you know, so far that was the longest green flag run we had right there. And, you know, we already saw some of these guys are starting to punish those tires a little bit. We're starting to see guys going around and such. So, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, especially crew chiefs, you know, spotters got to be in those guys' ears and, you know, tell them, hey, listen, you know, it's still early in the race. We're only 60 laps now into this thing. You know, it's time to settle down. It's time to calm down and, you know, kind of talk them down, so to speak, so that they can start thinking about tire preservation, start thinking about the long run, because, you know, another 260 laps of what we've been seeing so far, these guys, you know, those cars are not going to make it.
No, they're not. We'll have a junkyard in the infield. They keep that up. But, you know, I think these guys, they know what they have. Like I said, that was the longest green flag run we've had. I think they know exactly how far they can push their cars. Now, like I said, anything here, you know, running 95 to 100%, you can't do that more than 5 or 6 laps on these tires. I mean, you can do it, but you're going to pay for it so dearly on the back ones. We see the Lucky Dog, the 41 going around for the Lucky Dog there, the Steve Dale machine. But, you know, I'm sure they're going to settle in now. They know how far they can push these things. You know, God forbid we go on a long fuel run here. Some of these guys, if they run them really hard, they'll be in deep, deep trouble. So I look for these guys to settle in, have a nice, long green flag run. And as we said at the beginning of the show, they'll be in for tires, Doug, way before they'll be in for fuel.
Right, yeah, as they're lining up, looks like they're going double file now, Kevin, so we should, you know, get the green flag next time around. Kelly Jr. up on that outside here as we get ready to, you know, go green here next time by. Lewis Buss, once again, opts to take that inside line, but look right behind him right there, Kevin, in that number 3 position. We say it week after week. Where has he been? He's been hanging out in the top 10 all night, but finds himself currently up in the number 3 position. That's 16th. Tryon Lee. Here he is again.
Yeah, and he knows this is it. I got to go for it. I got to show my head and my face and whatever. My team and my car early here. I can't lay back. I got to try to take advantage of every situation. They've got 2 races left, this one and next week, to take advantage. So look for him to run really aggressive on his restart.
Yes, they get the green flag here. We're heading off, and you know, these guys, looks like they were about pretty close side by side right there. With the 87 was right up. He had a good restart right there with Lewis Buss. Still holding tight up on that outside, but Buss is going to drive off the corner, be able to get around him, move down onto the up to the inside and take away that position. You know, number 1 right now. But Kevin Kelly Jr. right there on his bumper, heading down into 3 and 4. Jr. is looking to kind of get up there and you know, let these cars kind of settle in and get away from the pack behind them, you know, so that they can kind of settle this between the 3 of them, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think what the 87 knew right there, Doug, is that he got stuck on the outside before. I think he knew he had to have a good restart to get settled in. Even if it wasn't to get the lead, he had to get down. So good job there. And look at the two wide battles behind the leaders here. They're not settled in yet. They're racing, Doug.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, I'm looking way back here around the, for the entire first 2 laps right here. It seems like that group back there in the back, they just, it seems like they stay 2 wide and 3 wide at times. A lot longer than what that front group does, as these guys are still 2 wide back in 26th, 27th, 28th. They are still fighting it out right now for positions. And these guys are, like I said, 2 wide back there. They're looking for any position they can get. And, we've talked about it many times. You get stuck up there on the outside, it's easy to lose 3, 4 positions out here. And, guys trying to get underneath you and such, Kevin. And that's what a lot of these guys are trying to avoid, is getting up on that outside and not being able to make it to the bottom, as we got a side-by-side right here. 10th place. Looks like Richards is fighting with Chapman right now for that top 10 spot. They've been 2 wide for about 4 laps or so now.
Yeah, those guys are side by side, and what are they doing? Losing time to the guys in front of them, and the guys behind them are gaining. So they need to settle that spot right there. As the 55 tries to clear it, just can't do it. 47 is going to keep him pinned down there, Doug.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, Kevin, you look right behind them there, that 24 machine of Garcia and company with the 7 of Howard Wildrick, those guys are making up time on them. They're starting to inch back up in there. So, and right there's Dwayne Hall now right there with them too. So he's caught up to the back bumper now, as looks like they finally settled that. Richard moves into the number 9 position, and Charles Chapman is relegated to 10th right behind him here. So they finally sorted things out there, but unfortunately they drew that whole pack that was racing 2 wide behind them that they'd pulled away from, drew them right back up there, Kevin.
And with this track, you can't take a breath for a second, Doug. Just like I do racing here from first-hand experience, you can't take your focus off or take a breath for a second. If you lose your focus here, you're done. So it's basically, you've got such a death grip on the wheel, it's like you're almost ready to rip the steering wheel right off. So kudos to these guys for hanging on. In the 48 car, Travis McKinney, we see him up to 3rd, Doug. He was one of those ones that had to serve a black flag at the beginning, went a lap down, has gotten back on the lead lap and driven all the way up to 3rd. So kudos to the 48.
Yeah, that 48 machine, he's looking really stout right now, Kevin. I've been watching him over the last few laps, Him and that 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr. both have been able to stay relatively right there with Louis Bussa, that 3 machine. And looks like they've got several different lines, though. If you look at that top 3, Louis Bussa keeping it down on the inside. Jr. kind of drifts up a little bit there in the middle of the quarter and off. So, and McKinney running right there on that bottom 2 and then kind of slides way up off the corner there. But Junior looks like it might be just a tack loose right there, coming up off of 1, as it wants to kick out just a little bit on him. But, he's definitely not diving that car in as deep as what the 48 to the 3 is, but he's able to stay right there with him. He's, running relatively good time.
Yeah, as we're riding on board with the 48, we can watch his line all the way around this track here. He gets in the corner really, really good there. Slides up just a little bit there, but carrying a lot of speed down through the dog leg. So he's got that car dialed in and running 3rd after being a lap down early, Doug.
Yeah, McKinney has definitely, made a big comeback already tonight, from being a lap down early part of the race, and worked his way back up into the, he's right back up there in the mix, moved himself into 3rd, and he's staying right there running comparable times with the lap leader right now, as the top 3 are starting to, pull away a little bit here. They've got about half a second gap between 3rd and 4th place Brian Lee back here. So, they're definitely running quicker lap times than the second little group behind them. But these guys are finally settled in, looks like, throughout the track right now, Kevin. And, we went back to single file racing, biggest most of the way back. So, that's what most of these guys have done now, is we got them sorted out throughout the track.
Yeah, Doug, and these guys now, this is what I was talking about before. They're in that mode now where they know they need to have a nice long green flag run, see what the car does, get themselves sorted out, and I think we're in for a real long green flag run right now.
Yeah, they may be settling in, and like we said a little bit earlier, Kevin, a lot of these crew chiefs may have already been in their ears along with the spotters and told them, hey, here's what we've got to be doing. We've got to be thinking long term. We can't do it all right now. You can't win the race in the first 50 laps, but you can definitely lose it. So I think they've been able to calm these drivers down a lot, having a little talk with them over the radio and such. So while we got this green flag break and everything's kind of stretched out here for a little bit, Kevin, how about we step away for a quick commercial break here from the Bad Boys Gym 500 here at Phoenix International Speedway, presented by NuffWORLD TV.
Are you looking to start your own professional internet radio station the easy way? Sam Vibe was specifically designed for you. From the makers of Sam Broadcaster, Sam Vibe takes advantage of the cloud to let you focus on what is important: managing and running your station. There are 5 simple steps to get started with Sam Vibe. 1. Sign up for a free account at NuffWORLD.com. No credit card information is required to get a free account. 2. Download and install Sam Vibe. 3. Check your email to retrieve your account information and login details. 4. Run Sam Vibe and enter your username and password. 5. The Sam Vibe Quick Start Wizard shows you the first steps to start your station. Simply upload your music, turn on your station, and tune in. Too easy? Don't worry, Sam Vibe caters for the needs of both novice and professional broadcasters. Sound exciting? Give it a try. Sign up for free now at SamVibe.com to experience how broadcasting should be.
Y'all ain't really ready.
Go!
And welcome back live to Phoenix International Speedway and tonight's running of the Bad Boys Boxing 500 here, presented by NuffWORLD TV. Been away for commercial break. Everything stayed green out here, Kevin, and still on point is Louis Bussa right now. But I tell you what, he's opened up about a 0.3 of a second gap on Kevin Kelly Jr., who still runs in second place. Looks like right now Bussa's about not even a half, maybe a quarter of a tenth faster right now than what Kelly Jr. is. So Kelly Jr.'s got that car dialed in and looking really good here tonight.
And hearing on his radio, just kind of scanning through, the youngster being his first year over and all that, says he wants to just sit behind the 3 and watch his line and, see if he can pick up anything. And I think it's working, Doug, because they've actually pulled away from the 48 to 16 to 04 a little bit. So the youngster learning from the veteran out here at Phoenix.
That's a real mark of maturity on this young man too, being a rookie over here this year, Kevin, and being very young too. That's a mature decision that young man made right there. He's sitting right there behind. If anybody knows how to get around these racetracks and how to drive them, he's been a dominant force this year. That 3 car has been, and if he can sit back there and just kind of watch the line and learn how Louis Bussa drives this thing, it could be something that really pays off for him by the end of this race, especially if he can stay with him like that, learn his line and learn where his strengths and weaknesses are, as well as improve upon what he's already got underneath him too. So that's definitely a good mark right there and a good man to be learning from too.
Yeah, we saw him get up in the fence just a little bit there. Oh, the 48, I think, loses a tire, Doug. Nope, I think he just messed up his braking point, and wow, was lucky to save that. Had all the makings of losing a front tire there, and he saved that thing. So, see if we can get our super guru statistician Buster back there to bring back the replay on that. What a save by the 48, because that thing was all but gone on the fence, Doug.
Yeah, that just goes to show right there, Kevin, if that was a missed braking point, it just goes to show, you know, what can happen if you miss the spot of where you should be hammering down on those brakes at, heading off into that corner there. You carry too much speed. You know exactly what happens right there. It goes straight up the hill with you, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it other than try to slow it down, which, you know, looks like that's exactly what happened right there with the 48. He just kind of got in there and, you know, may have missed his braking point. Never was able to get that car really right down to the bottom of the track where he's been running most of the track this race, and slides way up the hill just about. It looked like he may have just missed that wall, but, you know, if he missed it, there wasn't much room between the wall and that car, that's for sure.
And that's it. He was holding on for dear life, and you could see that thing just snap there. So, you know, and one thing we did not touch here, Doug, was brakes. Although, you know, it's not a necessity. You do need them. So we really don't see brake failures here. But, you know, talking to some of the teams up and down pit road before the race, a lot of these guys, which I found was pretty shocking, are running short track type brakes here. And what we mean by that is the big air ducts, the big rotors, and the big pads, Doug. So they know the importance of stopping here. So maybe the 48 was one of those teams that, you know, decided, well, brakes really, we do need to stop here in the corners, but they're not a big premium. But we're finding out from more and more teams down on pit road that brakes are a plus here. So it'd be interesting to see after the race some of these guys who really paid attention to the brakes here versus the ones that didn't. I bet the ones that finish up front, they have better braking systems than these other guys.
Yeah, the thing about it, Kevin, is these runs wear on. You know, you will start using, well, especially the early part, as those tire pressures are building up, you know, getting down into turn 1 and down into turn 3. You've got to get that car, turn 1 more so than 3. Turn 3, you'll drop about 20, 25 miles an hour, you know, at best, entering into the corner and kind of maintain that. But, you know, coming down this front stretch, you really got to get down on the brakes fairly hard here, getting down into 1 to get that thing to turn exactly in here. And you can heat those, heat those brakes up really quick. But like you said, if you got those big air ducts on there, brakes shouldn't be an issue here, you know, for overheating and have any brake failures, as long as you got the big air ducts there to cool it down, because there's quite a bit of time you're off the brakes here, unlike places such as Martinsville, where, you know, before those brakes can really cool down, you're back on them already again. But if these guys are, some of them, using those short track braking systems, you know, big brakes like that, it's definitely going to help them in the long run and getting these cars slowed down when they need to. But, you know, with those big open air ducts, it's also going to ensure they don't have a brake failure throughout the night too.
One of the guys I want to talk about, Doug, the 83, was in that accident earlier, restarted 19th, and he is up to 13th, so good comeback by those guys. We said it, the veteran there, Timmy St. Jean, the 83, making the adjustments to get that car dialed in and turned. Yeah, it's probably lost a little bit of the speed, but if you can get that thing to handle good through the corners, you can make up a lot of time on guys. Another car that had some issues at the beginning of the race that had the wrong tire pressures in was the number 27 of Dale Reynolds. We know he went a lap down there, was able to battle back and get back on the lead lap, and he's in 5th, so got a good car, Doug, but you got to wonder if he's going to be able to make these spots up from all that stuff that happened there on that one bad pit stop there. But, you know, looking back up front now, what a battle. 87, 16, and the 04 are going at it, Doug, battling for that top 3, and they look like they're settling in now.
Yeah, it looks like Brian Lee at 16 was able to get around, as well as McLucas, but McLucas gets a little loose coming up off the corner, just about lost it right there in front of Kelly Jr., gathers it back in, and relegates to back to that number 4 position, and got Reynolds right on his back bumper now, along with Partridge, who, you know, with that little bit having to get up out of the throttle right there, they were able to make up a lot of ground on McLucas, and Reynolds is right there on the back bumper now.
Yeah, you know, it was like we're right in the middle of a fuel run there, and all of a sudden the 04, like you said, just gets loose right in front. And I'm sure all the drivers' eyes got as big as we see him shooting way up the hill. He's got issues, Doug. I think the handle was gone on that thing. Either that or he's really missing his braking points there. Lucky no one was behind him there. He was able to tuck right back in. But the 04 is going the wrong way on the track. So look for them guys to make some major adjustments on that car.
Yeah, that car was looking good, Kevin, all the way up the point. I mean, he'd been running up inside the top 5 there pretty much, has been about all night. It looked like something just all of a sudden that thing snapped loose on him there coming off a 4. Then, of course, you know, you just relegated to it right there. A lap later, coming into 1, you know, he shoots way up the hill right there. Not sure if he maybe missed a braking point, but, you know, it might be in that point of the race, you know, as the track's starting to transition and the cars are burning off that fuel and such. It might be one of those things that, you know, the long run setup is starting to kick in right now, as you know, look like he's as Kevin Kelly Jr. now drops back behind Dale Reynolds, so you know, move Reynolds up into the number 3 position right now.
Yeah, the 87, I think, had his hands full. Got a report off the pit road. They're a little bit loose off as we see the 41 really hot there in 3 and 4, letting these guys go here. Oh, seeing somebody bounce off the wall right there, but like I said, hearing from the 87 camp that they are loose off. So they'll look for him to make adjustments on the next pit stop there. And man, the car of Steve Dale, Doug, has got his hands full, stuck on the outside. Can't seem to get a break just to be able to get down. That's what we talked to. You cannot take a breath here. You can't bat an eye. You can't take a break at all here, because just like that, you've got somebody right on. There's nowhere to hide here.
Yeah, there really isn't, and you get stuck up on that outside, you know, it's hard to get back down to the bottom, especially once you get a line of cars coming through here like what we've been seeing. I mean, Steve Deo doing the good gentlemanly racing thing there, you know, moving up high, letting those faster cars go, you know, especially to the lead pack. But, you know, like you said, Kevin, once you get up there, getting back down is a whole different story, because these guys, you know, are just all stuck up there. You know, as you get stuck up there, you also got to change your driving line altogether, and as you're driving, you know, up on that high side, you change your driving line, you start losing even more time, as we've seen what happened with Deo there. You know, as he's losing more time, he's falling further and further back behind some of his lead group and not able to capitalize on the ability to get back down there and try to, you know, maintain what he can out of that car for right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a handful. And I want to go and talk about somebody that at the beginning of the race we saw him and looked like they were going to just drive off this thing, and now he had to pull it behind the wall, Doug. Electrical issues there with the 55. Something was wrong with that car. You know, he dropped back. Not the night that they were looking for, so the 55 was on the hauler, Doug.
And it must be the night for it, Kevin. I tell you what, you talk about electrical issues. On lap 97, Kyle Limp went behind the wall. Electrical issues, just like you talked about. I'm hearing reports lap 98, Dwayne Hall, same exact thing, electrical issues. And then the 88 on lap 99, motor just shut down on him, completely shut down, and he's behind the wall now too. So 3 cars in 3 laps right there, all heading off.
Oh, and there's a problem in the corner. The 31 involved, I believe it's turns 1 and 2, Doug. I'm not sure what happened there. He rolled back with a 31 and another car were involved up against the fence there. Not sure what happened, but not good.
Yeah, unfortunate break here tonight. Looks like as they got down into turn 1 there, looks like as he went to check up, the 42 of Dan Pearl was underneath him and just got into him. It looks like from what I could see, what I could tell there. But looks like that one was just the 30, just a breaking point issue right there, as Dennis Jenkins, Pearl, and 42, and of course the 31 of Alex Monteferrante were heading down into turn 1. Looks like Pearl may have misjudged the braking point that Monteferrante was going to have there at 31. Just got right into the back of him and put him up against the wall.
Yeah, tough break there. 31 making a comeback here. Been I think has not raced since around February or March. They're making a comeback. So we got the replay to see what happened here. As we see 42 with a flat front tire trying to make it to pit road.
Yeah, and that's one of the tough things to do here is getting back on the pit road with that tired down, Kevin, as you know, for those of us who've had that problem here at Phoenix, as you you know, as you head down into any of the corners right there, with that right front tire down, that car does not want to turn left, and you know, it has the tendency to go right straight up to the wall, and you know, that's a hard thing to do. So you know, yeah, it can take I've seen drivers here lose a couple of laps just trying to get those cars down on the pit road with that lone right front. And you know, it looks like Pearl is still out there with that tire down, with pit road being closed right now for lap down cars. So he's going to gut it out for one more lap rather than take the penalty here for hitting on a closed pit.
Yeah, you got to kind of weigh your options there. The 42 stayed out. Personally, I think I'd have taken that longest line, come in, taken the penalty and fix that thing. But that's why I'm up in the booth right now, as we see everybody on pit road. And the 16 had a really quick stop, Doug. Not sure if he took two, but he's going to get off of pit road first.
Yeah, big move right there by Brian Lee. First one off of pit road there. So, you know, that we've said, we've talked about, Kevin, some of these guys possibly taking, you know, some strategy into this and such. So, you know, that may be one of the strategy calls to get up there and, you know, get his car up into that front pack there. You know, get a good track position, because track position, as we've talked about, is very key here.
Yeah, you know, if he took two tires, I don't think that's going to work here. You might be able to hang on for about 25, 30 laps. These tires, it's like a cheese grater up here. It just eats these things up. So I can't believe they took four and got that good of a stop. Wow, we have a traffic jam on pit road. Everybody trying to get to their pits here. Between the 4, the 30, or sorry, the 61 and the 28, almost had a wreck there on pit road. But you know, we'll see if we can't get a report of what those guys took for tires, Doug.
Yeah, and it looks like Dale Reynolds also had a very quick stop out there, Kevin, as he picks up a position, gets around Lewis Busta there on pit road. He was the second car off of pit lane. So Reynolds picks up a couple positions there in the pits also. So, you know, definitely, you know, kudos to that pit crew there, getting that car out so quickly. But Reynolds, you know, being on the pole, has the virtue of, you know, that first pit stall, very last pit stall, should I say, down on pit road. So, you know, all it is a straight drive off. He ain't got to worry about being blocked in, you know, coming off a pit road, and he ain't got to worry about turning that right turn, you know, coming out of pits into the lane. So makes it a lot easier getting off of pit roads, and Reynolds picks up a couple by taking advantage of that.
Yeah, all kinds of strategies being played right now, and heard the 27 did take 4, so they got off pit road pretty darn quick there. Give kudos to the crew right there, you know, knocking off a sub 14-second pit stop there to get those guys out on the track in good position. So we're hearing the 16 took 4 tires, Doug, so we thought the 27 crew was fast. Man, the 16, what a move there, and what an easy way to pass cars, Doug, without, you know, to wear and tear on a car. Pass them on pit road. So, man, that's got to be one of the quickest pit stops we've seen tonight on the 16. Yeah,
that was definitely a quick pit stop, Kevin, like you said, you know, to get off pit road. But I'm looking a little further back here, and someone we haven't talked about all night, finally cracking the top 10 tonight, has been relatively quiet after what we've seen out of the last couple of weeks. But back in the number 9 position, Kevin, right now, that 78 of Chris Melton has been relatively quiet tonight compared to what we've seen over the last few weeks.
And we haven't, you know, called his number all night long, and here he is. So let's see if the youngster has got that thing dialed in and make a run to the front. He's been really good on these short tracks this year. Heck, he's been good everywhere, but he showed a lot of strength on these short tracks. So look for that 78 to make some moves to get up to the front. And the 48, you know, he was fading there, you know, almost got into the wall, missed that braking point. I think the tires were gone on that. So I'm sure he's made some adjustments on that. And we got the youngster, Kevin Kelly Jr., in 4th on the outside there. So we're going to have an interesting restart here with some guys that haven't been up front most of the night, Doug. The 16 and the 27. Look for it to be a dogfight right here as we're going ready to take the green.
Yeah, and I find it kind of interesting, Kevin, that 16 decided to take the outside line there, you know, on this restart. First one I think we've seen all night take the outside line on the restart. As we get the green flag here and they head off down into turn 1, looks like Brian Lee got a real good jump right there on that on the restart. Looks like Reynolds may have got caught sleeping there, so to speak. But Brian Lee down into turn 1 just really powers on by and takes off. So he pulls quite a few car lengths on Reynolds as Lewis Bussa is working underneath the 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr. right now. Jr. trying to find a way to get down, protect that number 3 position, but not sure he's going to be able to do it here with Lewis Bussa underneath him as these two are racing hard as they come up off the 4.
That's it. We look, and it looks like he's just going to clear the 3. So that paid off for him right there. We see the guys behind him now are stuck on the outside, and we saw him make a move earlier in the race to hurry up and get into second place. I think, you know, he realized the importance of getting low here right off the back as we see those guys on the outside there. The number 7 car, Howard Wildrick, is now stuck out there. And we see the 78 kind of riding that same line. But we've seen nothing but everybody go right straight to the back that's been caught on the outside. And that trend is going to continue here as the 7 just can't find no love. Almost some contact with the 04 there as he's finally, I think, going to know they're going to pull even down in the 3 and 4 as he finally makes that pass. But now we have the 47 stuck on the outside. So it's kind of monkey see, monkey do, and these guys need to settle this quicker. He's going to be all the way back to like 15th.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like that 04 machine of McLucas is still a little loose coming up off the corner right there. But that 47 of Jay Richards is looking really strong out there, fighting for position with 04 up on the outside. He's actually holding that line and making it work for him right now. As looks like he might be able to clear him here coming up off of 4, and he does, and the 04 slides in behind his 47, so Jay Richards makes the pass up on the high line. We don't see a lot of that here at Phoenix tonight.
No, we don't. Flexing a little muscle there in the 47. Jay Richards showing how it's done on the outside, but you and I both know, Doug, that's a rarity. You know, we're talking about you taking advantage of those tires those first 5 or 6 laps, and I figured he knew he was just about at that window where I better hurry up and make something happen before I, burn these tires up. So he settled in there. And I want to talk about another guy that we haven't said a thing about all night, Doug. And he's ran really good through the season, had some bad luck, and that's the 06 of Rob Partridge. The guy is sitting there riding in the position of 5th and just getting it done. And he's been quietly right there the whole night.
Yeah, he's been up in there. Biggest most tonight, just like you said, Kevin, been really quiet, but has stayed up inside that top 10 and the top 5 a lot tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see if, he can continue to work on that car, make it a little bit better, and put himself back up closer to the front, possibly even steal the show here tonight.
Yeah, we got battles all over this track right now. Everybody is pretty much single file through the field. Got a couple teammates here, the 87 and 27 EPR, up here battling out. And a while ago we said that the youngster in the 87 was following some of the veterans around here and getting pointers. Looks like he's trying to pass his teammate there in the 27. He knows he's got the 3 on him. He's got to go. So it looks like the following days are over. He's ready to try to get around that 27 and go up front there.
Yeah, he's definitely got a good running car right now. Looks like down in 3 and 4, though, is where he's very best at right now. As he really closes up on Dale Reynolds down in 3 and 4, loses a little bit of ground in 1 and 2, but looks like getting through 3 and 4, as you see right there. Wow, he really closes that gap, and if he can get in there and stay close enough to Reynolds to really take advantage of that going into 3 and 4, he could definitely make the move right there. As Lewis Bussa is right there, just like you said, Kevin. He is right on the back bumper also of that 87 junior, so he can't afford to slip up, that's for sure.
And, looking back at the 78, Doug, we were talking about a while ago, car looked really good for the first 4 or 5 laps, and now it's starting to fade. I'm not sure what's going on with the 78. They just missed the setup, or they're biding the time. Another guy, he's just creeping the whole race, and that's the 83. He's riding around in 12th position. Not really made up more spots than that, but the fact that, getting hit and hanging right there in the early start of this race with the damage that he's got on that car has got to be pretty encouraging for that team. And another guy we haven't talked about all night long either, the 34 of Ben Britton. He's right there quietly riding around in 13th. And he's one of those ones, Doug, you know, we wait to the end of the race, just like Brian Lee. It's like, hey, where did he come from? So, you know, can't help but think the 34 is just sitting there riding, waiting to bide his time.
Yeah, and I'm looking back up here towards the front there, Kevin. Looks like Lewis Bussa is starting to put a little bit of pressure on that third place position of Kevin Kelly Jr. as he's fell off the back bumper of Reynolds a little bit over the last couple of laps, but continues to make up the ground right there in the corners, but just doesn't seem to have the speed up off the corners and down the straightaway to make a good move on Reynolds. But Lewis Bussa has been really trying to put some moves on Kevin Kelly Jr., but just hasn't been able to, you know, get around him. As we've talked about much of the night, this is one of those tracks that's very hard to pass on. You know, you've got to, you got to set them up for a couple of laps sometimes to actually make that move. And looks like Lewis Bussa had tried the move and unfortunately wasn't able to complete the pass, but now has had to back off a little bit and try to gather it back up and set it up again.
And look at the 16 out here in front of the points leader. You know, maybe only by 3 positions, but he's out there. He knows he's got to try to do everything that he can do to put himself in position that if the 3 has a bad race. So, you know, give him kudos. He's out there. He knows what he's got to do. You know, this is all depending on the 3 having some bad luck, but he's making, you know, maximum effort in trying to get maximum points out here leading laps, that if something does happen to that 3, that he's going to be there. And we hear just as soon as we were talking about someone doing good, Doug, we find somebody on pit road with a flat tire.
Yeah, it looks like the 44 of Paul Hahn there, Kevin, has cut down a right front. So he's heading down pit road right now. But I tell you, one of the battles I'm kind of looking at that's been ongoing out here on the track is the battle for 6th and 7th right now of Wildrick and Richards, as Richards puts a power move on Howard Wildrick and powers it down onto the inside, trying to take away that number 6 position. Looks like he's going to clear him up off of 4, but here comes Justin McLucas right alongside the 7 car of Wildrick too, and is going to take that position. And looks like he'll bring the 48 with him. So as we've talked about much of the night, you know, when you open that inside lineup, it's like a freight train coming through there.
It was, and you know, the 48 thought about taking it 3 wide there for a second and said, well, you know, okay, wait a minute, it's a little bit too early for that. Settled in, and the 7 ended up knowing, look, these guys are faster than me. I'm going to let them go. And that's being a smart racer, Doug, is knowing when a guy comes up on you that fast, I'm going to pull over, I'm going to give this position up, I'm going to tuck in there, I'm going to save my tires, and I'm just going to follow you guys. And when you guys wear your tires out, I'll be there to pounce on it. So smart racing there by the 7. Didn't want to push the issue. Didn't want to put everybody 3 wide. So smart racing. But I tell you what, somebody that is putting it to the grindstone right now is the 48, man. He is driving the wheels off that thing.
Yes, he is, and he's currently up there, like I say, running in the 8th place position all over the back bumper of McLucas in that 04. But these guys are interesting.
Yeah, up front, Doug, we got a battle for the lead, and guess what? All 4 cars are there. What did we say about people getting side by side? They pull the whole pack up. 16 to 27, the 87 and the 3 are all there battling for the lead, and they're going to go almost 3 wide, and the 16's going to lose 3 spots, Doug, in 1 corner.
Yeah, we talked about it just a moment ago, Kevin. Reynolds was able to get that nose, you know, underneath, coming down the front stretch right there, just enough power to get up the side of him. And, you know, of course, forces Brian Lee out of that bottom line. And Kevin Kelly Jr. and Lewis Bussa just follow suit, head right down on the inside with Dale Reynolds and follow him through. So Lee loses 3 positions from the lead to 4th position right there. But I tell you, Dale Reynolds up there now at 27, looks making a nice recovery from the unfortunate miscue that he had when he started the race tonight with qualifying air pressures and tape on that car. Finds himself back up into the number 1 position once again.
Yeah, and he is flexing some muscle right now as he is pulling away from the 2nd place car. And I think the 87 and the 3 are running just as hard as they can to try to get to this guy. I don't think they're holding anything back right now. We know the 3 never holds back nothing. He is wide open all the time. So the 27's out there with that clean, fresh air, and we'll see what he can do as he's pulling away from the 87. And like you said, it could have been a very costly mistake at the beginning of the race. He caught some brakes, got on pit road, got a lap down, got it back. But kudos to them. They're out here right now, and they're leading some laps. So let's see what the 27 can do in front of this pack.
Yeah, that 27 looks to be really strong right now too, Kevin. As he pulled, you know, once they got around Brian Lee and took over the #1 position, he pulled about 3 to 4 tenths of a second right away on Kevin Kelly Jr. once he got out there into that fresh air. As we see the top 3 kind of spread out a little bit right now between Reynolds, and as we got a caution out on the speedway, Kevin, is what I'm hearing. So we got some issues. That's going to slow things down and pack them back up together once again. So it's going to be an interesting turn of events here now with the 27 out front.
Yeah, we didn't quite get that full fuel running we were talking about. We ran just a little bit further that time. So these guys really know what their car is going to do in the long run. And they get another opportunity here to throw the wrench in the window if they need to. But I think at this point of the race, I think you have to make small adjustments at this point. And hearing that there was contact with a 31 and a 42, Doug.
Yeah, it's almost a reverse of what we saw a little bit earlier, Kevin, getting down into turn 3 there. Looks like Pearl checked up a little bit, and the 31 of Alex Monteferrante wasn't expecting the checkup that he got. You know, from in front of him, just gets right into the rear bumper of Dan Pearl, sends him right around and into the corner, you know, up into that outside retaining wall. So unfortunate for that 31 and the 42 of Pearl and Monteferrante, but you know, that's Pearl. That's twice he's been up into that outside wall tonight. So that car is looking rough as he's having trouble just getting it back to pit road right now with a couple of flat tires. You know, they're going to have to pay quite a bit. Looks like, what is that, like the third time we've seen tires down on that 42 tonight. So, you know, he's definitely paying Goodyear well tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, he is, Doug. And you know what, talking to that guy during the week, they were just happy to be racing again, but they're not making guys at the shop really happy because they've had a lot of wrecked race cars in the last 4 or 5 weeks. So they're just out here trying to get some track time and, you know, learn the setups on these things and everything else. But like you said, the tire man is sitting there with his hand out, and they're paying him a lot of money tonight.
That they are, and you know, as the old proverbial saying goes, you know, hey, welcome back, so to speak. You know, Dan Pearl, like we commented about 3 races ago, I think it was, we made reference to, you know, the young man had taken about a 2.5 year absence from NuffWORLD Racing here, and has been making his debut coming back here the last couple of weeks, and you know, just finding it hard, you know, knocking the rust off and getting back into competitive racing here, but. It looks like the 87 is the first car off of pit road, so heck of a good pit stop there, Kevin.
Yeah, here, and they took 4 tires and 2 cans and made an adjustment on top of that. So we're seeing pit stops tonight just blistering fast out of a bunch of teams tonight, Doug. These guys came with their game faces on tonight, and I don't know when the last time that we have seen pit crews this fast on pit road out of a number of teams. They know this is it, man. This is for all the marbles. And you know what, Doug? It's been coming out of all the teams that are right here in the top of the chase.
Yeah, somebody's out there, you talked about a little bit earlier, Kevin, somebody holding their hand out with those tires and such. I believe there's a lot of car owners out there putting a hand out too, said, hey, this is what we need. We need good pit stops tonight. We need to make the very best we possibly can out of these races. It's coming down to the end of the season, you know, so it's go time. It's time to bring the A game. And maybe throwing out a little bonuses there for his quick pit stops, because those are some blistering fast pit stops, Kevin.
Yeah, these guys are putting out some serious pit stops tonight, sub 14s, and we know that is quick over here. But you know, I want to talk about something, Doug. You know, a lot of these guys, you know, we're coming up. This is our second to last race. Of course, next week is our finale in Homestead. But a lot of these guys, Doug, as we know, they don't know where they're going to be next year. We're talking new teams. We're talking rookie drivers. Basically, everybody here is auditioning for a new job for next year. As we all know that, you know, our teams reset every year. We have to re-sign everybody. So all these guys are auditioning for jobs, you know, next season. Some will go off and start their own teams. Some will join other teams. So, you know, this is not only just out here to racing to get a win, as we see the 61 taking the lucky dog there. They're auditioning for spots for next year.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that, Kevin. And over here in NuffWorld in the VSU Cup Series, just like in NASCAR, you got those teams and you have those team championships that run together. So that's one of the things a lot of these guys are, of course, looking for next year, especially the team captains and team owners, who they're going to put on their team and such. So, a lot of these guys, just like you said, auditioning for next year right now. There's some guys out there who, aren't even on teams and are running, as a solo act, so to speak, right now. And, they're looking to get a little help next year, get on a team where they can get some help and get some affiliation dollars coming in to help them with their programs. So, just like you said, a lot of these guys are right now auditioning for next year.
Yeah, what a great organization NuffWorld is, VSU Cup, and of course our sponsor tonight. We couldn't do without our sponsors all through this chase. Every chase race sponsored for TV. So glad to have all of our sponsors here. And these guys are putting on one heck of a race tonight. They're not holding anything back. Pit road is on, the drivers are on, and we're going green, Doug.
Yes, we're getting ready to go green here, Kevin. The green flag drops, and we're taking off here, heading down into turn 1. So Kevin Kelly Jr. down on the inside right there. Looks like he got a real good restart, as well as did Dale Reynolds. So they're side by side heading down into 1. Dale Reynolds arcs it way up the track right there. Looks like the 87 is going to be able to clear him coming off the corner here, but the 27 under fire right now from Lewis Bussa and that number 3 machine. As they head down into dogleg, looks like Lewis Bussa is going to be able to clear him here getting into 3. So Reynolds moves back to 3rd position. Got Brian Lee all over him, and then you got that 47 car of Jay Richards down on the inside of the 27, looking to also take another position away. So these guys were scrambling quick to try to get all they can, Kevin.
Yeah, but just as we've seen, if you're stuck on the outside, you can't get it low. We're just going to see the 27. It looks like, no, the 48's going to fill that hole there. So, you finally get in front of the 48 there. 48 just lifted just a little bit to let him in. But as he drifts up high, so it looks like the 27 car might have this thing set up on a long run. But you want to be careful how far you drop back, because we've seen these guys, Doug, time after time. They get stuck on the outside. As a 48, man, just shoots way up the hill in 1 and 2. Has to give that position up to the 16s we had in the dogleg.
Yeah, and Kevin Kelly Jr. right now leading the way, but he is currently under fire, heavy fire right now from that number 3 machine of Lewis Bussa. And they both take it right down to the bottom line, as well as Jay Richards has joined this fight now as they come up off turn 4. Looks like Kevin Kelly Jr. has got the advantage at this moment, but like I say, any little mistake, and Lewis Bussa is right there to jump all over him as Kevin Kelly Jr. dives it hard down into 1. Lewis Bussa looks like he makes up a little bit of time here on the straight stretch, but Kevin Kelly Jr. at this point has definitely got the better car getting into the corners.
Yeah, the youngster's out there. He's like, I followed the 3, I followed the 27. I want to lead some laps myself, and you guys can all follow me. So youngster out front leading some laps here, logging some time. They know they got a long shot to win this championship, but they're in the same boat as the 16. And all these other guys, they got to go out there and try to make maximum. As the 3 is putting a lot of pressure on the youngster, but he's sitting there riding the 27. Looks like he's going to be able to get that car right back down on the line again. 16, and look who's behind the 16. Somebody we talked about a while ago might have made some adjustments to that car, Doug. The 78 is in the hunt again.
Yeah, and you bring up the 16 right there, Kevin. We saw him up there stuck on that outside when on that restart, and was not able to get back down onto the inside line, and has fell all the way back to the 6th place position. So lost 3 positions right there after the restart as Kevin Kelly Jr. continues to lead the way. But I tell you, another one looking real hard right now underneath the 27 is that 48. Travis McKinney is really pouring on the coals right now, putting the heat on Dale Reynolds, and looks like he's going to clear him here getting into turn 1 and move up into the number 4 position and start closing in on Jay Richards right now, Kevin.
That 48, man, I'm going to tell you what, he drives every lap, Doug, like it's a qualifying lap. He's not in the chase right now. He's out here for one thing, a win. So he is driving the wheels off of that thing. As we see the 87 get loose out of turn 4 there. 48 right now, one of the quickest cars on the track. But we've seen it time and time again. He's able to get to this point, and then he loses the handle on that thing and drops back to about the 8th or 9th spot. So, we'll see if maybe he's dialed that car in a little bit better for the longer runs, but no doubt about it, in the first 10, 15 laps of a run, that 48 is on it.
Yeah, as he closed up, he's right there now on the back bumper of Jay Richards in that number 47. And, you know, he's looking as he dives down the inside. Right there it is. He dives it hard down into the corner and pulls alongside and around that 47 of Jay Richards. So move Travis McKinney up into the number 3 position right now, really flexing some muscle right there. But he's got about a 6/10 of a second gap to try to get up there to Louis Bussa and Kevin Kelly, who are running right now nose to tail and running away with this thing, Kevin.
Yeah, they are setting a blistering pace, man. These guys are running just about identical lap times. One is good in one corner, the other one's a little bit better than the other, and it's all a wash at the start-finish line. So these guys pretty much got their cars dialed in, man, and they are starting to pull away from the pack.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too, Kevin. I'm sitting here looking at lap times on the trackers here, and Louis Bussa and Kevin Kelly Jr. both just 4 laps ago, lap 144, ran a 26.48 and a 26.49. So they are definitely, you know, that's the best laps they've ran all night. Their fastest laps of the night, and they almost mirrored each other right there. 1/100th of a second difference between those two cars. So they've definitely kind of ratcheted up a little bit. But I tell you what, the one that's really on the move right now is that 48 of Travis McKinney, who just ran a 26.38. So he's pouring on the coals hot and heavy right now and moving up quickly on Louis Bussa.
Yeah, you know what? I just saw something out of that car that tells me how hard he's pushing it. He was sideways coming off of turn 4, which tells me he is really leaning on that right rear tire. And you know what usually happens, Doug, at the end of a run on that right rear tire.
Yeah, that right rear tire starts getting, you know, in immortal words, you know, it starts getting angry, and it snaps back on you. And when it snaps back, that car snaps around, and usually that's not a good thing. So he's got to be very careful here. You know, if he's starting to heat that thing up right now, you know, it's definitely not going to be good on the long run if they stay on this long green flag cycle. But he's pushed it hard, and he's got up there. He's pulled about 6/10 of a second, you know, up in front of Jay Richards in the last 4 laps. So he's definitely pouring the coals to it. As Louis Bussa down on the inside, looks like he might be, I was going to say there, Kevin, looks like he's getting ready to set up Kevin Kelly Jr. here as they head down into 1. And Junior, yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. It looks like Junior isn't able to get down onto the bottom, but Junior's going to maintain that position for now as they head down into the dog leg.
Yeah, the 48 is all over the 3. He knows he's got to go, man. We got a car down on the front stretch there, the 28. Looks like he is done for the night. Not sure what happened to that car in the back of the dog leg, Doug, but he is headed for the hauler.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of smoke out of that 28 machine of Dennis Jenkins. I don't know if something maybe let loose in the engine right there, or if he maybe got a brush with the wall there, kind of shoved that radiator back a little bit, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of smoke as Jenkins was sitting down there. But, you know, as we continue to look at this battle up front, nothing has changed here. Kevin Kelly Jr. still leading the way, fighting for his life, so to speak, right now, as he's got a crafty veteran right there behind him in Louis Bussa in that number 3, and a very hungry Travis McKinney out there in that 48, just really putting the pressure to him now.
Yeah, and the 3 got down on the apron and almost looped it, but gathered it back up. So he gets a good run up off of the corner here. Can't quite get underneath of the 87, but he's setting him up down for turn 3 right now. And they're going to be side by side here. See what the 87 can do here, driving off on the corner. And the 48 is just waiting for the opportunity. And man, the 87 makes it stick.
Yeah, it looks like that 87 to me, Kevin, you know, made some adjustments during that last pit stop. We referred to the last time he was out there that he was able to pull time on Louis Bussa getting down into the corners, but just didn't have the horsepower coming up off the corners and down the straights. But looks like right now Louis Bussa is getting into the corners a little better than the 87, but the 87 is able to pull the speed and the horsepower up off the corner down the front stretch and pull away from him. So that's a big equalizer right now between these two.
Yeah, and the 48 is just there waiting to pounce, and it's pretty much the 87 here has got to, you know, decide what to do, and he does the smart thing. That's the veteran move there. You know what? You see 2 cars there, you know you're going to be stuck in that sucker hole on the outside. So the 87 gives up, going to try to get right. That's smart racing right there. Knowing, you know, hey, these guys have caught me. They're there. I don't want to lose any more time. I'm just going to duck in here. So kudos to him. And the rest of the guys, you know, look at the, we're looking at the 48. He's right there. It seems like his car, he's dialed it in for the long run right now. Even though we're not on a really, really super long run, we've seen him at stretches of this race where at about this time he would already be dropping back. You see the 47 shoot way high into 27, take that position coming out of 4. But the 48 looks like he's dialed his car in just a little bit, but you got to wonder if he'd burn it up trying to get to the 87 and the 3.
Yeah, and you talk about right there with that Dale Reynolds getting around the 47 of Jay Richards, Kevin. But a guy we talked about wasn't having a very good start to this race, but that 78 of Chris Melton is starting to show some muscle now. Currently fighting with Jay Richards for that 5th place position. He's down on the inside right now trying to make a move on Richards. Richards powers him up off the corner, isn't able to make the pass at that point, but Chris Melton is finally, looks like 159 laps into this race, got that car going in the right direction now and up into the top 6 right now. So, you know, Melton looks like he's still got some work to do on that car, but is definitely making some comeback from where he started this race at tonight.
And one guy, you know, we talked about it, was up front there, the 16. He slid back to 7th. We've learned to never, ever, ever, Doug, count this car out. But he's definitely on the backslide here, losing time to the leaders, falling into the clutches of the 06 and the 7. By no means out of it, but basically falling back to it right now. So we're seeing comers and goers right now. We've got a couple cars up front, I would say 3 or 4 that we've seen all night just stay right there, pretty consistent. The 3, the 87, 48 at times has been able to stay there. The 27, I want to put him in that category right now, but we haven't seen him run long enough to see how he's going to be. But a lot of comers and goers right now. And this is the time of the race where you need to make the right adjustments to help your chassis out and your situation and your position on the racetrack. You know, position is everything. Is a 64. Wow, up it against the wall in 3 and 4, making room for these guys. Close right there, almost looped that thing. But like I said, this is such a transitional part of the race right now. You got what you got, and you got to make adjustments on this thing, you know, to make it last for the entire run.
Yeah, and it looks like the 41 is Steve Deo. I noticed as they're coming by right there, Kevin. Looks like he's on pit road right now for unscheduled stop. I'm not sure if something maybe is going on with that 41 machine tonight, but either way, he's down on pit road right now. Looks like he's got a DNF showing right now. Looks like he just took it down behind the garage, or into the garage there, so may have been something catastrophic on that car tonight. So unfortunately for Steve Deo and that 41 machine, you know, puts it behind the wall after 160 laps tonight. So unfortunately, bad break for Steve Deo. Something has let go on that car, isn't going to be able to finish it up.
Ken, for hearing the 83 is also having some problems. Might be parking it soon, but I want to go back to 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th, Doug. A dogfight between the 24, the 33, the 76, and the 4 car. Man, these guys have been going. I've been watching the monitor now for about 2 or 3 laps, and they are just going at it. And there are literally 4 different lines that they are running on the track, Doug.
Yeah, these guys, and you'll see a lot of very distinct lines being ran out here. Some of these guys, you know, are still working on those setups and, you know, are searching around while they're working on those setups, especially with this long green flag sequence we get into, you know, as the 83, just like you said, Kevin, has put it behind the wall right now. Looks like he has some issues, too. So Timmy St. Jean, after a rough start tonight and a pretty good bounce back, he's going to have to leave early and end things. So, but I tell you what, looking back up here front, Kevin, looks like the battle's starting to heat back up again.
Yeah, the 87 looked like he cooled his tires off a little bit and is going back for some more of these leaders here. He's inside the 48, and this is just about where we said the 48's been having issues all race long, Doug. So his car is good, man, lightning fast for the first 30, 35 laps, but just not able to hang on in the latter starts of a run. So if this were a 40-lap shootout, I'd say he'd be the man to beat. But when you're running as many laps as we have to run here, as we see the 87 is going to clear him coming up off the corner as we go down to the dog leg, you've got to be built for longevity here, and that 48's just not showing me that he's built for the long run.
Yeah, and as you talk about it there, Kevin, looks like that 27 of Reynolds is going to continue to try to, you know, follow along as he gets down on the inside of him here, coming up off of turns 3 and 4 and heading down the front stretch. Looks like he should be able to clear him here, getting down into the corners, dives it down into the corner and takes the position away. And Travis McKinney's got to be very careful here as Jay Richards is up on his back bumper now. He's able to fill that hole between Reynolds and Richards. So I was going to say, he gets stuck up on that high side much longer. He's just going to continue to drift back. So, you know, good job getting in there for Travis McKinney, but that car definitely just like you said, Kevin, it seems like it falls off just a little bit after about 30, 35 laps. So, you know, may still be some work to be done on that 48 machine of McKinney to get it good on that long run. And if he can get it good on the long run, he could be a very serious threat here tonight.
And, you know, it's just like it's a light switch. All of a sudden, it's so dramatic for the 48, we can see it. It just falls off just like that. It's not a gradual thing. It just goes really, really fast. As we see the 27 getting underneath of the 87 on the front straight. It's going to be a drag race down in turn 1. The 87 looks like he's going to give that spot up and tuck in behind the 27. Again, you know, just smart racing on the youngster there. 48 hanging tough, but, you know, the next 5 or 6 laps is going to be very pivotal for him to sit there and cool these things off and settle in and try to just, you know, throttle it back. You know, it's hard to tell a racer, you got to back off just a little bit. But, you know, when you tell a driver, look, you're this fast on the stopwatch, and then all of a sudden the switch goes like we said, and you start dropping back, and it's like, okay, just back your corner up enough and give me 5 good laps my way. You know, that driver will see exactly what you're talking about. You get in a consistent rhythm and look at him. He's sitting there running right now, you know, times very comfortable to the 2 guys in front of him. So he's settled down, he's running those lap times, and that's what you need. You have to show that driver what he needs to do.
Yeah, and once again, kind of looking back here, Kevin, you talked about it a little bit earlier, 16th, 17th, and 18th. These guys have not settled it yet, as Chuck Garcia just gets around the 4 of Dennis Wright right there just before I said that, and moves Chuck Garcia up into 16th, but Wright is all over his back bumper to the dog leg right there. These guys, and Wright shoots down to the inside going into 3 and 4 here. Going to challenge Garcia once again for that 16th place position. I'm telling you, Kevin, watching these guys running up here, that this could be, you know, you would think this would be like the very last lap or something, the way these guys are running.
Oh, we've got high lines, we've got low lines, we've got in-between lines. These guys are just going at it. You know, and this is what's so great about the VSU Cup over here. These guys are racing, man. You know, they're racing each other, and they're having such fun. They're so respectful with it. And, man, you know, they can beat and bang on each other and everything else. But like I said, one lap, one will get a clear-cut advantage on them. And 2 laps later, the other guy's figured out another line, and he's making, you know, time up on him. So, great battle with these guys, the 4 to 24 to 76, all these guys here. But, you know, as we were talking a while ago, Doug, you know, the crew chief gets in the ear, that 48, tells him, look, hey, you got to settle down just a little bit. As he was ready to make a pass on the 87 there, just didn't do it, messed up his braking points a little bit. But we've seen him settled in. And this is the thing that we've seen different than the other runs with the 48. By right now, he'd be 9th or 10th. But he's settled in. He's taking what the car is giving him. And that's what you got to do in these middle stages.
Yeah, that 48, he's definitely looking a lot better this run. So that shows me, Kevin, that they've done some adjustments already. Of course, still strong on the first 30, 35 laps. And just not as strong, starts falling off a little bit, a little further into the field run, but definitely have made some strides in getting this thing better. As just like you said, typically it's this point in the run, we've seen him fall a lot further back over the last couple of field runs. But looks like he's dialed that car in a little bit and got it. Well, as he goes around right there, coming off of turn 4, so you know, just as we say that, unfortunately, he's down on that inside right there against the wall. So unfortunate for the 48 of McKinney right there, puts it down on the wall, and looks like he's going to have a hard time of getting it back turned around.
Yeah, caution is out, Doug. Man, the 48 just got a little bit overzealous there and heated up that right rear we were talking about. Was showing good lap times there with the leaders, but I think the abuse was already done in that tire. And you know, Doug, when you get that tire angry like that, it's hard to get it calmed down. You got to really be disciplined about it. And that's what we talked about. It's hard to tell a guy to slow down. And you can't help but think that that right rear tire was just really, really up on air pressure. And once that happens, you're bound to go around.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened there. It looks like Kevin just kind of lost it coming up off of 4. And I tell you, that passenger side, the right-hand side of that car, looks like it took a pretty good beating out there, as it's caved in pretty heavily. Right there, right at the numbers, matter of fact, right there against the sheet metal is caved in against the roll cage. And then you've also got that, you know, rear end right there at the back quarter panel, right behind the tire, is caved in pretty good too. So he took a hard lick down out of the inside line, and I'm sure that's going to affect that car the way it turns here just a little bit, because, you know, you take any damage on that right rear quarter panel, it has a tendency to jack up that spoiler, and without that downforce on that spoiler, it could cause some real issues for the car trying to turn into the corners.
Doug, we've seen it all night long. I don't think it's going to be any different right now. We've got all the leaders on pit road, and let's see what these guys can bust out for some times right here. As they're on the right side, it dropped the jack, going to the left side, putting left side tires on it, 2 cans of fuel, and look at this, the 87 man gets out there. He might always going to come out in the second spot, but man, these guys are laying down blistering times tonight, Doug.
Yeah, some of these pit stop times, wow, I don't know what they're feeding. Somebody had their Wheaties, so to speak, tonight, Kevin, because these pit crews are laying down some ungodly quick sub-14 times, stuff we haven't seen throughout the entire course of this chase. But I tell you what, it kind of took a drop right there. It looks like Lewis Bussa spent an extended amount of time on pit lane that time and drops to the 11th place position, Kevin.
And that's, I'm not, we've learned never to count that 3 out. But I don't know, being trapped in dirty air like that. Like I said, these cars are not super air dependent here, but you do need those fenders and everything else for the downforce, and any disruption of air across the front of these cars will take the nose away from these things. So being back in that dirty air, this will be the furthest we have seen the 3 all night long, Doug, back in traffic.
Yeah, and electing to stay out, though, Kevin, was at number 31 of Alex Monteferrante. And looks like he stayed out, going to lead a lap, or maybe even 2 here. But I don't see this young man staying out for too awful long. It would almost be suicide at this point in this race after that long run like that to stay out, as he does take that left-hand turn down on the pit road. So he's going to give up the lead, which will be given to number 27 of Dale Reynolds. So, you know, smart move, stay out there, lead a lap, get that bonus point. But at that point, you know, you can't stay out there with the amount of laps they had on those tires.
Yeah, there's no way you can stay out on those old tires. And that car is pretty beat up. He's had a rough night. Basically, we're looking at the right side of that car. Really tore up. He's got a lot of damage on the back area of that car. So, you know, look for him to make some repairs on that thing and try to make some more adjustments on that. But getting back to the pit stops, I cannot remember in a VSU Cup race, Doug, that we have had pit stops so spot on tonight. I mean, these guys, this is the fastest that I've seen these teams all year long, and they are busting out some pit stops. You think, okay, this second to the last race of the year, these guys don't have anything really to race for except for maybe 2 or 3 of them. Bull crap. These guys are going at it, man. The gloves are off. And, like, this is why I said it fits our sponsors so well tonight, Doug.
Yeah, it's exactly it. Bad Boys Boxing, our sponsor for tonight's Bad Boys Boxing 500 here at Phoenix, you know, and the gloves are off in some cases. Some of these guys, the way they're racing already, you know, this is a heavyweight bout we're in here right now, Kevin, with, you know, these guys. And, you know, especially you come in the last 2 races left in the chase. So, you know, there's no punches being pulled here. There's no laying back. You know, this is final rounds, round 9 of 10, so to speak, in a heavyweight fight. And right now, Lewis Bussa is winning that thing on a scorecard. But, you know, anything could happen to upset it all right here tonight.
This is where, if you're the 3 card, you got to tread lightly. You want to be aggressive, but you want to be careful. You don't want to get wrapped up anything and cut that point lead in half that you have on the second place car. Coming into this, Doug, I think he was 47 points up on the 16 car, Brian Lee, and 77 up on the 87. So quite a mountain to climb for the 87, but the 16, man, something happens to that 3, and he's right there. As we're getting ready to go green, these guys are coming down to the line. Got teammates on the front row, and the 27 gets a pretty good start there with a 16. The 87, let's see if he can make it down low. He's had to do this the whole race long, try to get low. He knows if he gets stuck on the outside, he's going to be done. Wow, he gets up in the wall there and got the 16 down low, Doug.
Yeah, the 27, Dale Reynolds is just able to go on that inside line. Kevin Kelly Jr. was stuck up on the outside, hasn't been able to clear the 16 yet. Looks like he's going to be able to clear him here coming off a 3, but like you referenced, Kevin, he did get into the wall there, scrubbed it a little bit down in turns 1 and 2, coming out of 2 down into that dog leg. As Kevin Kelly Jr. still kind of running that higher line right now, Kevin. So it tells me that car might be a little tight at this early part of the run before those tire pressures come up and the heats of those tires. But definitely not looking like he can get it down on the bottom right at this moment. But, you know, we've seen that over the last couple of runs. Dale Reynolds kind of stretches things out a little bit right now.
Yeah, you know, walking on pit road for again this race and talking to some of the guys, the 87 crew, they were one that wanted to start the air pressure really, really low at the beginning of this race, at the beginning of each run, because they knew that they were going to build. Got caution on the speedway. Doug not sure where it's at, but here we got caution.
Yeah, it looks like it involved the 23 of Frankie Samato down there in, looks like turn 4 maybe. So not sure what happened to Frankie, but unfortunate went around right there, and looks like there was a few cars involved. I'm kind of look at the replay here, see what happened with Samato. But very interesting there. It's down in turns 1 and 2. I'm sorry, but wow, looks like he just got down on the apron right there, and once he got down on that apron, caught that left front right there in on that apron. And you know as well as I do, Kevin, you catch that front on the apron, it'll come around. And then when he started coming around right there, Chuck Garcia makes an evasive move to get up and go around him there on the outside, but causes Garcia's car to kind of loop around too with that quick maneuver, and several cars behind him. Joshua Biddle making evasive maneuvers. Jay Richards involved in it also. So a lot of cars involved in that one, Kevin.
Yeah, and you know, probably 15, 20 laps into a run, you might have been able to get away with that move, putting that left front tire underneath the line there. But you know, this early in, your tire pressures aren't up, and wow, we see a bunch of guys come down pit road, and the 2 leaders stay out. Actually, the top 3 cars, but looks like the 23 might have had some help before that, before he got there. But as I was saying, you know, later on in the run, Doug, you could probably get away with it. Tire pressures were up, but especially if you got help and you get down below that white line where the tire pressure is up and all that, the balance is gone, and you're just holding on right there. And that looks exactly what happened to 23. Yeah,
it's one of those referred to as the accordion effect there, Kevin. You know, the 23 checked up a little bit, the 24 wasn't able to check up enough, and then, you know, he gets into the 24, gets into the 23, and then the 78 isn't able to make a quick enough maneuver, and he gets into 24, sends him all around. It's just chain reaction. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, running that hard and that close together, there's no way to avoid it, you know, especially if you're that 3rd, 4th car in line. There's just, by the time you realize what's going on in front of you, it's too late.
Yeah, we see the 3 car on pit road. So that's going to put him back even further in some traffic. Maybe something wasn't right with that car, where they're going to come out in P11, it looks like. So just about where he restarted last time. But we've seen what can happen. It's not even your fault, Doug, and next thing you know, you're facing the infield, you got a bunch of cars coming at you. So 3's got to be careful. Like you said, you don't want to be too aggressive, but you got to be aggressive enough to get through this pack and get up to where you feel safe. Riding around on the back here, sometimes you can get mixed up in somebody else's mess.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and we just saw it right there with Richards. You know, that young man's been up front most of the night tonight. Been having a real good run in that 47, and you know, just like you said, he's back there a little further that time after a late pit stop, and you know, next thing you know, he's involved in an accident, and you know, that's going to severely hinder his progress towards the front tonight. It's going to hurt that car on speed, especially, you know, if he done any damage to that right or that rear wing like we talked about. You know, you can't get enough downforce in that car. It doesn't want to turn, so causes a lot of handling issues. So, you know, if you get stuck back in that pack a little bit, it's where you don't want to be, you know, because you don't have as much control over, you know, your own destiny, so to speak, is what you would say up in the top 3.
You know, one guy we haven't talked about tonight at all, I mean, not even mention him at all tonight, except maybe in the driver's intro, is the 15 of Darren Benj. And, you know, typically he shows, you know, his muscle about this time of the race, Doug, and he's been basically stuck right back there. We're showing him right now, I believe he is in position 14, sorry. So he's been stuck right about there between 14th and 15th the whole race. So not sure if they just missed the setup, or, you know, he's just waiting for some of these cautions. We do know cautions breed cautions sometimes, so maybe he's just being very cautious and trying to come up through the field really slow, but he's starting to run out of laps. So I would think by now we would see some muscle by that 15, but never count him out. He's like the 16 at the end of the race. He's usually right there.
Yeah, that he is, and that's one of the things, Darren Benz, we typically, it's about this time of the race we start seeing Darren, start making his way towards the front. He usually does start a little further back. I don't know if it's just he doesn't have the great qualifying steps that he needs, but I tell you one, it's made a big comeback so far tonight. We haven't talked about him at all tonight, Kevin. Is up in position number 5, and Danny Gutierrez in that 08 machine starting to show a little something out here in this track position up into 5th place now.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him all night long, and he snuck up in here. So these are times of the race. This is the time of the race right now where, like I said, we got comers and goers. This is the guys that have either been sitting back here saving their stuff or they've actually hit the setup, and they've just been waiting. But going to be one heck of a restart again here as we have teammates. The 27 to 87 starting out, and they're coming out of 4, and they are taking a green flag. 27 gets a pretty good start. 87's got a really good start. Got the 7 behind him, heading down into 1 as he arcs it down in there, trying to carry that momentum to get down low, as we've seen every start on this race. And the 04 is not going to let him down there. Man, the 87 showing some muscle on the outside. Heck, Doug, he's trying to take the lead. The heck, we're just trying to get down.
Yeah, exactly, and he's got had a lot of momentum coming down off of turn 1 right there on that high side as he pulls. They're side by side heading down the front stretch now across the start-finish line. That 87 had it by just a bit right there. Let's see if he can pull that run off the turns 1 and 2 right here down. Looks like he's going to be able to do it. Takes the lead and moves forward as we got a caution out on the speedway just as Junior gets around and takes the number 1 position.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. The 87 knew he had to get it done, man. Give the youngster credit, hanging tough. Now is going to be a tricky part of this race as we try to figure out what the caution was for there. We'll get some guys on pit road to look into that, see what happened. Sounds like the 47 was involved in that one, Doug. But getting back to what I was going to talk about, we had the leaders here stay out. Now they've run a couple laps hard, and now we have these guys that came in last time, and basically the 87 and the 27 were the only cars to stay out other than the 7. So big decisions here for the leaders going on as we see the 61 turn the 47, Doug, on the replay.
Yeah, it looked like a 61 just had a good head of steam heading down into turn 1 right there, and wasn't able to slow that car down quick enough, and gets right into that left rear quarter panel of the 47 of Jay Richards. So Charles Payne gets right into the back of him there, and once that car started turning around, there was nothing Richards could do but kind of hold on as he banks it hard into that outside retaining wall. So I'm sure with the way that car went in there with that right rear quarter panel and rear end of that car in there, it's going to do some damage to that spoiler, Kevin.
And this is what we talked about. Look at the 47 was involved, had a bad pit stop and ended up getting stuck back there as we see most of the leaders stay out. But this is what can happen. The 47 we saw run top 5 most of the night, Doug, turns around, has a bad pit stop. For whatever reason it was, he had to start back there. And this is two incidences now that he's been wrapped up in. So the 3's got to be kind of back there saying, oh, man, I could be this guy. I need to hurry up and get up front where I was. But just tough break for the 47. He was flexing muscle the whole race, up there running really, really hard. And here he is wrapped up in 2 wrecks in a row.
Yeah, exactly, Kevin. And that just goes to show right there, you get back there, you have that bad pit stop. And you get stuck back there, with some of those other cars who maybe a little bit of damage, who you haven't been running with throughout the night. Because this is one of those things is, you run around certain people, you start learning how they drive, you learn their line, their braking points, and then you take them out of a certain group of guys they've been running with all night, which is what we've seen with that 47 so far with Richards, and put him in with a different group of guys, and he's not sure where their braking points are at, they're not sure where his is at. And you get the byproduct of what we just saw, the last 2 cautions. He was involved in both. And, he went from being a top 5 car now to, fighting it for the rest of the night now, so to speak.
And some interesting pit strategies going on throughout this race. Like we said, we saw the 2 leaders, actually all the leaders stay out right there. So one car that we haven't mentioned at all either, and I'm sitting here and looking, he's running in Position 6 is at 54 of Charles Chapman. We haven't talked about him all night either, Doug, and he's one of those ones, God bless him, the last 3 races, man, he has run really, really good and just got caught up in somebody else's mess. 3 races in a row, you know, so hoping he can have a good run here. He's just looking to finish a race. He's had 3 DNFs the last 3 races. And like I said, none of it's doing, just been wrapped up in somebody else's mess. So another guy, the 12, Jerry Hinkle, right around in 9th. We've talked about his season, been up and down, kind of backslid into the chase, and really was never to gain any momentum, you know, through this whole thing. So he's racing for pride right now, but good run for him up there in 9th. And right in front of him, the 48. We saw him backwards on the front stretch a while ago. So don't know what they've done to damage for that car and what kind of repairs they made, but we know one thing, Doug, he will drive the wheels off that thing and bring the steering wheel back. So can't wait to see what the 48 is going to do on its restart.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And it's interesting you bring up that 58, excuse me, the 54 there of Charles Chapman, you know, Kevin. That's one of the things. He's had 3 DNFs in a row. And, you know, and the light to the brighter side of that, so to speak, even though he has had those 3 DNFs, Chapman has actually, in the last 5 races, his program has completely been turned around. He's been showing a lot of promise and been having some good runs. Unfortunately, he got caught up, like you said, in the last 3 races, and you know, other people's mistakes, other people's misfortunes, unfortunately, kind of took him out. But you know, he's actually, the last 5 races are probably, I would have to say, almost say, the best 5 races he's had all season, and showed a lot of muscle, but just not had the finishes to go along with it.
They put a lot of good. They put a string of 3 good races in a row, and you know, they'd obviously love to finish these races, but you know, they're a small program. You know, they don't have a lot of assets to them, but they're doing good. They're making strides, and they're being competitive, and that's the biggest thing you can ask for, is being out here, a team by yourself. You know, having showing speed and showing promise and everything else. So we'll see what they got here on this restart as we're coming to the green here. Teammates again, the 87 starting on the bottom. Seen him on the outside the last couple times as we drop the green flag coming to the start-finish line. 87 gets a pretty good jump. 27 is pulled even going into 1. It looks like the 27 is going to clear right there coming out of 2. So look for him to set sail. Man, the 27 and the 7 almost make contact right there. He knows he's got to get down. He's taking a page out of the 87 as the teammates get down there and heading off into turn 3.
Yeah, look right behind him right there. Justin McLucas up on the outside of that 04, Kevin. Going to make a stick, taking a page right out of Kevin Kelly Jr.'s book from last restart. Still up on the inside and just running it hard down in there to take away that 3rd place position. But that 7, Howard Wildrick, still down on the inside, fighting hard, tooth and nail, not to give up that 3rd position, and is still right there side by side with him as he dives it down into the corner. So, but Brian Lee in that 16 and the 08 of Gutierrez on the outside right behind him. There's a lot of fights going on out here right now, Kevin, as these guys are trying to get all they can on these fresh tires.
Yeah, they are, and I'm going to tell you what, that 48, man, he is again driving qualifying laps beginning of this. He made a move back there in turn 1 as he's on the outside of the 54 trying to make it work. And he's going to take that position as they pull back even through 3 and 4. And, man, he just drives it right there. It clears the 54 trying to get underneath the 08. So the 48 has proved that he's got that short-run car, man. He's trying to make all he can as he's looking to get underneath the 08 here going through 1 and 2. But, again, as we see the 08 scrape the wall there, the 48 is just probably the car to beat on the first 30 or so laps, but then falls off. But, man, it is not short of effort that he is back up there in the 8th position.
Yeah, and I'm looking right behind them right there, that 54 machine. And Charles Chapman, we just talked about a little bit earlier, Kevin, he got stuck up on that high side right there and allowed Lewis Bussa in that 3 car to get by. So Bussa moves up into 8th, but Chapman was fighting hard up on that outside for about 2 or 3 laps with Jerry Hinkle in that 12 and the 4. These two guys, they were really fighting it out there. Charles Chapman was being able to clear it and bring it home into that number 9 position, but allowed Lewis Bussa to get through after McKinney. But I'll tell you what, McKinney right now working underneath the 08 machine, really putting together a run right here, Kevin.
Boy, they are banging hard. It was like the 48's going to get that position right there as he squeezed in front of the 08. I want to back up here. It's the same players again that we've been talking about most of the race. We've got the 76, the 23, the 78, the 47. Man, these guys are battling right here back in like 15th position. The 23's under the 78, and 47 is all over both of those guys. So just great battles all over the track here. The 78 is back in a hornet's nest back here, Doug.
Yeah, that he is, and there's Jay Richards right there in the mix, looking underneath the 40 or the 23 of Frankie Samato. Wasn't able to make it stick. Wildly backs out for just a second. Samato hangs on to the 15th place position. But just like you said, Kevin, it's a hornet's nest back here. It's a give and take is so far out the window. What I'm seeing, everybody's looking to take right now. So these guys are really running hard right now, like they were running for the lead.
That's it up front. The 27 is called the 87. They are side by side. And it's a drag race through the dog leg right here. Is neither one's giving an inch right here. Teammate just going at. Look at the 7 sliding way up in 3 and 4 back there. Howard Woodruff. The 87 carrying that momentum on the outside. He's going to make it work and keep the lead going into 1, Doug.
Yeah, but Dale Reynolds is still right there side by side. The only worry here for Kevin Kelly Jr. is you've got to make this work, but you've got 3 cars lined up down on your inside right there. If the 27 is able to clear, McLucas and that 16 of Brian Lee is also going to make themselves presence known really quick and jump down the inside as they are all 3 lined up. So Kevin Kelly Jr. has got to find a way to squeeze in there, and he's trying to do so right now. And McLucas ain't cutting him no slack as they head up into the straight stretch here in the front stretch, still side by side for 2nd place.
And these guys are just going at it. It looks like it's the last lap. The 87's finally going to get clear of the 04 there. And, man, look behind them. The 48. We keep saying it, Doug. The 48 is inside of the 7. He is coming to the front. Clearly the fastest car the first 30 or 35 laps into a race. He's not cleared them yet, but he is there. He's going to push up and make that 7 go way high up into turn 1, and he's probably going to clear him coming off. He's going to try to pull the slide job. Can't quite do it. Door to door, and the 3's right there to fill that hole. 7 knows if he gives it up, Doug, he's going to lose probably 3 or 4 spots right there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If he stays up there like that, you know, Wildrick is in a bad spot right here up on the outside, because once McKinney gets around him, that's going to bring Louis Bussa along with him, and possibly even Gutierrez, that 08 machine. As Louis Bussa gets a little high right there, getting in under turn 1. Not sure what happened with him. Has to gather it back together, tucks in behind Wildrick, and now looks to the inside once again as they head down into 3. So Wildrick in a bad spot. That sucker hole, so to speak, up there on the outside could be in danger of losing about 4 more positions here before it's over with, Kevin.
Yeah, the 3 is clear, and the 08 is inside the 7. He is yelling to the spotter, get me low right now. I'm out here riding around. I am just going straight to the back. He's got 3 cars. Man, the 08 pulls right up on the back. The 7 finally gets down. But, man, he lost a lot of positions right there. We see the 4 on the outside of the 54 right there, Chapman. He's taking that kind of unusual line there, but he's making it work. But here comes the 48 again in the early parts of a run, Doug.
Yeah, exactly. He's worked his way up right now into the 5th place position. And following through so far in that whole little run there has been the 3 car of Louis Bussa. They're about 2 seconds back off the lead right now. So, you know, they're steadily making their way there. But I tell you, as they looks like Louis Bussa restarted in 11th position on that last restart, has moved up into the number 6 position. So picked up 5 positions so far, as the front remains the same. The 27 of Darrell Reynolds leading the way, with Kevin Kelly Jr. right in tow of Justin McLucas in 3rd. So these guys are staying right where they are right here. But let's step away real quick, Kevin, for a quick commercial break. We've got about 100 laps left here, and we'll get back with live racing action here right after this commercial break.
Hey, I'm Carrie Glassman. Here are some quick and simple tips to help you feel just a little bit better. October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so take this reminder to do something good for yourself and your loved ones.
Research shows that 1 in 8 U.S. women will develop invasive breast cancer, which means this terrible disease will affect nearly all of us in some way. This month, if you don't do self-exams already, it's time to learn how. And more importantly, make an appointment with your doctor if it's been a while. And encourage your friends and family to take these tips also. Go to nationalbreastcancer.org, linked below, to learn about early detection and how you can support the fight against breast cancer. So remember, breast cancer is a disease that will touch most of us in some way. But with an early detection plan and support for the cause, we can continue to fight it, which will help us all feel just a little bit better.
And welcome back live here to Phoenix International Speedway. Tonight's presentation is the Bad Boys 500, from Phoenix International Speedway, presented by NuffWORLD TV. As we were away, Kevin, stayed under green flag. Kevin Kelly Jr. still running in second. Dale Reynolds right there in the #1 position, still leading the way with Brian Lee in third. Travis McKinney and Lewis Bussa, 4th and 5th, have been able to close up the gap just a little bit. But one step away just for a quick second, for those of you, tonight's title sponsor right there, the Bad Boys Boxing 500, got to send some love out, especially to our guys who, are sponsoring everything over here, help pay the bills, bring these races to you live. Grady Brewer, Grady the Bad Boy Brewer, he's a professional boxer and a former IBA and IBC light middleweight title holder. He was also the winner of the ESPN reality show The Contender back in 2006. He's held titles in the IBO Intercontinental Light Middleweight title in 2012 to current. Still holds that title. He's the NABF Light Middleweight title holder in 2011, the IBC Light Middleweight title in 2009, and the IBA Light Middleweight title in 2005. And he's also the Texas Light Middleweight title, held it from 2002 to 2003. So, he's been a professional boxer for a while. He can tell you about the disciplines of boxing and all the strategies of such. He currently operates a boxing, fitness, and mixed martial arts gym down there in Lawton, Oklahoma. Runs a fitness center there and teaches these young men and women down in that area, about boxing and the discipline itself. Also, it's martial arts, and runs a fitness center. So definitely want to spend some special love out there to Grady Brewer and the Bad Boys Boxing and Fitness Center in Lawton, Oklahoma. Helping pay the bills here tonight and put these things on live for you guys at home.
Yeah, definitely a bad man to mess with there, Doug. A very impressive resume there. Definitely a dude you don't want to mess with, get on the bad side. What the perfect race is. Like you said, we've seen the gloves on and off in this race, so a perfect sponsor for a perfect race tonight, Doug.
Yeah, that he is, that's for sure, and we've seen a lot of the gloves also, to speak, bare knuckles tonight, Kevin, and I don't think we're done with that tonight. And before this is all over with, I think there's going to be some more punches thrown here before this is over with tonight.
Yeah, and I'm watching the 48 and the 3 just bang all over each other, lap after lap right now. This is about the point where we've seen the 48 starting to fall to the back. As the 3 slides up underneath them in the exit of 2 there. In the 48, man, what a run on the top side there. They got them guys are going at it, Doug, and the 3 and the 48 are door to door, just banging off each other, and the 48 is not giving an inch as they drive down the front stretch. And the 3 is going to get that here, and the 12 was around. I believe we're staying green. Not sure, Doug.
Yeah, it looks like we're staying green as the track's clear. Looks like McKinney may have got the wall right there coming off of 1 and 2 as Lewis Buss was able to get around him. But one of the things I thought was really interesting I saw happen right there, Kevin, it looked like Brian Lee in at 16 saw Lewis Buss and Travis McKinney side by side fighting as hard as they were right there about a lap or so ago, and just kind of made the smart move. So, hey, I'm getting out of the way of this mess. Dove down to the inside, let both of them get by, and then ducked right in behind them. So Brian Lee definitely in the mode of trying to get as many points out of this thing as he can tonight, keep that car underneath him. Currently shown back in the 5th place position, as we just saw the 12 cars they were driving by there. The leaders were, a lot of smoke coming off of him with that right front down. So trying to make it, but looks like we got something heating up here in the front, Kevin.
Yeah, it looks like the 87 wants the lead back, and let me tell you something, Doug. We are 229 laps in, and some of these guys are running the fastest laps that they have run all race long. 87 telemetry a while ago, we saw him run 171 miles an hour in the 3, and they've been out here for 35 or 40 laps on these tires. So when we say the gloves are still on and they're throwing punches, man, they are getting it done, Doug.
That they are, as the 87 is Kevin Kelly Jr. is able to get around the 27 of Dale Reynolds, take over that lead. But while they were fighting there side by side, look who creeped up into the picture. That's at number 3 of Lewis Bussa, who has restarted this run, Kevin, back in 11th place position, and has picked up 8 positions as we got a caution flag out on the speedway. Looks like we got a couple of cars involved in this one.
Wow. Right then, we're getting ready to see the 3 battle of 27 there for some spots. For our position there for the 2nd position, and we're going to get our guys on it right now to see what was entailed in that caution right there, Doug.
Yeah, I'm hearing that that last caution may have involved the 31 and the 42 out here tonight, Kevin. So if that is the case, that's 2nd or 3rd time those guys are tangled tonight. So I think they were getting some bad blood starting to mix possibly there in that camp between Dan Pearl and Alex Monteferrante, if that's the case.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I've said it before, we got the perfect sponsor. He can put those guys in a ring and they can settle it there.
Yeah, that would be a place to put it, but the 31 was working the outside of the 42 right there as they headed down into 1. Looks like the 42 to 31 may have got together there. Door to door, the 31 goes up, smacks the wall. And then the 42, I don't know, looks like he had to lock the brakes up, jump on the brakes heavy or something as he pushed up in the middle of the corner there and caused that car to kind of loop around there on the rear end. So, that's the 3rd incident we've seen with these 2 cars together tonight. So I think they're, it may be a case, Kevin, just like you said, to put the gloves on, put them in the ring tonight, because I think there's going to be some words exchanged after this one's over with.
Yeah, these guys are going at it, and it's just like a heavyweight fight, it's at the end. You got 2 guys beating on each other and everything else. And this is one of these tracks, man, it can get to the point to where, you got some damage, and it seems like you keep getting around the same guys and getting to the same altercations and stuff like that. It's like a gnat at a picnic, Doug. It's annoying as heck. And, it's just after a while, it's like, oh, man, I'm trying to give this guy some slack. But we always seem to be meeting in the same spot. So, man, could be a long, hateful ride to the track in Homestead.
It could very well be, as looks like the 87, and everybody's heading down pit road now. Looks like most of the lead cars head down as the 87 hits his pit stall now and gets work done. But these guys have been having some extraordinary pit stops tonight. We'll have to check this out. See who's first car off of pit road here, Kevin. As you know, a lot of these cars, like we've been documenting, extremely fast out here tonight.
These guys have been knocking out some crazy pit stops. This is the 87. Wow, we got the 48 trying, and it looks like the 27 bust off a fast pit stop. He came in second, comes out first off of pit road, but look who's in third, coming out in the third position off of pit road, Doug. I smell trouble for the guys on the front row, because this guy has been driving qualifying laps like crazy the first 30 laps of a run, and he's right up there now, and he's sniffing the lead. So this guy might use the bumper with under 100 laps to go here.
Yeah, that could be a possibility, and it could be a possibility before this is all over with. We'll see more than one bumper used by the time this race is over, because it's getting to be a, just like you say, Kevin, it's getting to be a title fight out here. And a lot of these guys that we're seeing fighting right now, it doesn't matter that they're not in the chase. These guys are fighting with all they got. It's all about pride. It's all about things tonight. It's all about the W for a lot of these guys, you know, who we've been seeing up here tonight that aren't even in the title picture at all, such as, you know, Danny Gutierrez or, you know, even Travis McKinney, as we talked about. Chris Melton, who's currently out there in the 8th place position, McLucas and Partridge in 9th and 10th. So a lot of these guys starting to make their way back towards the front and, you know, have been running well tonight when they're up there in those positions. Even though they may not be running for the championship right now, they're running for a win.
You know, Doug, as we're sitting here, you know, up in the booth, and we have the best seat in the house, besides our viewers watching over there on NuffWORLD TV. But can you feel it building, Doug? You can feel it. It's been, you know, happening since the halfway point. There's like an urgency. These guys are running harder and harder and harder. We're seeing some of the fastest lap times towards the middle of this race. And these guys are just getting after it. And can you feel the excitement building, Doug, towards the end of this thing?
Oh, the excitement is definitely starting to build, Kevin. And just to kind of throw a stat out here, talking about Kevin Kelly Jr. tonight, been looking so great out there. So far tonight, has got a total of 40 laps led. So, you know, he'll break his old record right there tonight. Kevin Kelly Jr. leading 40 laps, sets a new all-time laps led record for that number 87 machine. So kudos for Junior tonight, making things happen. But we still got, you know, just under 100 laps to go. He's got to keep that pace up right now if he plans on winning this thing tonight.
Yeah, these guys, I tell you what, they're going at it. The 87's letting it all hang out. The 16's letting it all hang out. Everybody is just running just as hard as they can run. As we're getting set up here, we're getting everybody double file here to get set up. And Doug, I just want to touch something on something while we're here, and you're included in that. And thanks for all your service, man, that you've done to the military and all of our veterans out there. We couldn't be sitting here doing this right now like we could do. We've got 3 veterans in the field tonight and 1 up here in the booth, and I just salute all of you, Doug.
I'll make a correction on that. We got 2 up here in the booth. Also to Mr. Stephen Mahana, our producer back there in the back, old Air Force veteran himself. We razz each other quite a bit off the track and off the air and such about who's the better of the two, the Army or the Air Force. So you never get me to believe the Air Force is better than the Army. In the same way, Stephen will never tell you that the Army's better than the Air Force. But just brotherly love right there. And like I say, happy Veterans Day to all veterans out there tonight in the back.
That's it. As we get ready to go green here, got teammates on the front row, 4 fresh tires and a tank full of gas, and they're off. And the 27 is shot out of a cannon. Just leaves the 48 there. The 87 is trying to dig on the outside. We've seen him all night long trying to flex it, but I don't think he's going to be able to get him clear. It's a drag race to the dog leg. Way high for the 87 as he dives down in the corner. Still not giving up on that position, Doug. The youngster just hanging in and out there. It looks like he's going to lose that position. The 27 clears the 87 for first.
Yeah, it looks like the 27 moved up there and took over that number 1 position. But we've seen Kevin Kelly Jr. make that outside line work all night long on his restarts. He's the only one I can think of we saw it actually work for up there, Kevin. And he's made it work on several restarts so far, but just wasn't able to do it that time by as Reynolds was able to clear him on the inside. We've been in number 1 position, but he moves down now and is starting to track back into that 27. And I'm sure it won't be but a few laps here until the pressure will be on that 27 machine of Dale Reynolds.
Yeah, they say the one thing that you can't tell, if you tell a driver he can't do something, Doug, he's going to go out and prove that he can do it. And one right now that I'm seeing that's proved that he can, we've talked about it, probably one of the fastest cars on the track on the first 30, 35 laps of a run is the 48, and he is all over the point leader right now as we come down the front stretch, looking to set that 3 up right now. And he's getting so much better into the corner than the 3 is, and then power right there off the corner. He's trying to set him up in the dog leg, Doug.
Yeah, Kevin, 72 to go, and you talk about how that 48 is getting such a run. The old race lap record here at Phoenix was set back in March of 2013 this year by Louis Bussa at a 26.427, and already tonight Travis McKinney at 48 has broke that record with a 26.38, so that tells you he's had a fast car all night, broke the record.
Oh, he puts the bumper to him, Doug, almost wrecks the 3. The 48 let him gather it up, but man, he said, hey, I'm here, and he got on the back bumper and almost jacked the 3 up right there. The 48 gave him room to gather it back up, but almost an incident right there, Doug.
Yeah, and that could have been disastrous for that 3 car right there, especially we've been talking about it all night, you know, holding on to that points lead right now by 47 points. And if you're Brian Lee back there in the back, you know, kind of watch these guys, you're like, hey, you know, keep going at it like that. That's exactly what I need. But the 48 pulling right back up to Louis Bussa again as those top 5 are nose to tail right now. Danny Gutierrez has joined right into this group and looking rather racy right now, Kevin.
The 3 car literally bounced off the chip because the 48 got in the back of him and picked the tires up off the ground. So we're on board with the 3 right now, riding with him watching his line here as he is chasing down the 87 and the 27. But man, what a moment for the 3, Doug. All of a sudden you're riding around, you're getting in the corner, and it feels like you're on ice. And it's, oh, by the way, my wheels are up off the ground. So great job by the 3 for gathering that thing up. And kudos to the 48. He could have stood in the gas and wrecked him. But I'm going to tell you, that patient meter is going away real quick, that 48, Doug.
Yes, it is, and he knows he's got a fast car out there, and he knows he's got to do what he can. You know, like we've been documenting all night, that car is extremely fast for the first 30, 35 laps, and it starts to fall off a little bit. So, you know, this is the time of the race that Travis knows he's got to do what he's got to do right here at this point. And he is putting a lot of pressure on that 3 of Louis Bussa right now. And Bussa just nowhere to go. I mean, just can't seem to get a run up on the 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr. as he's just holding on to that number 2 spot and doing exactly what he needs to do. Looks very comfortable out there running in second right now. So, you know, it's like you said, business is beginning to pick up, Kevin.
These guys are running some of the fastest lap times that we have seen all night long. These guys are nose to tail, first to fifth. They look like they're drafting at Daytona or Talladega. And looking down here at some of the telemetry on some of these cars, the 87 just ran 172 miles an hour down in the turn 3, Doug. That is getting it done.
Yes, it is. That's very fast here at this speedway. But I'm telling you, even with these tires starting to fall off right now, getting later on to the, as the 3 is making a move underneath the 87 right now. Kevin Kelly Jr. up on the high side, Louis Bussa down on the inside, side by side, heading down the dog leg right here, getting into 3. Bussa may have an advantage, but it looks like Kevin Kelly Jr. is hanging tough as they almost touch right there. Coming down through the middle of 3 there, Bussa pushed up just a little bit. But Kevin Kelly Jr. holding on to the position for right now as they head down into 1. But I tell you, these 2 are going at it hard and heavy as Louis Bussa gets the advantage of 1. Kevin Kelly Jr. jumps back, drops into the 3rd place position, fills that hole before McKinney can get there.
And I tell you, what a race by these guys. Everybody in this field, Doug, is putting on one heck of a race tonight. These guys are just going at it like it's the last lap, and they've been doing this for over 150 laps and just getting it done. Probably one of the most exciting races we have seen all year long, and we've seen some really good races this year, Doug.
Yeah, like I say, the top 5 right now, Kevin, are all 5 running laps, only about a 1/10 of a second off of the old track record out here. So these guys are really putting the pedal down hard and getting every inch and every bit of horsepower out of these cars that they possibly can out here. These guys are not leaving anything. They're, you know, the old adage, leave it all on the track. That's exactly what they're doing out here tonight. as the 48 of McKinney now is starting to pull up on the 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr. as Lewis Bussa and Dale Reynolds have started to pull away just a little bit on the 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr.
Yeah, your Brian Lee's got to be holding the pep rally out in the back, Doug, praying that something happens, you know, to the 3. He's got to see what's going on. I'm sure his crew chief and spotter are telling him they are getting it on up here. And the 3 and 27 are getting ready to duke it out real soon. Give it like 2 or 3 laps, man. As the 3 pulls on the outside, what a power move, Doug, as he tries to do it on the outside.
Yeah, I think Lewis Bussa said so much for that. Give it 2 or 3 laps. Let's get it done right now, Kevin. And like he was almost listening to you, just drives it hard up on the outside and right around the 27 of Dale Reynolds. You know, if there was any doubt to the power of that 3 car, he just showed you what he's got right there.
These guys, I'm telling you, they are just getting it done. In the 3 car, man, looking at him, he just ran 170 mile an hour down into turn 3 also. These guys are just getting it done. And the thing I like about it, Doug, they have been so aggressive through this race, but they have been what I like to call patiently aggressive. They're not leaning on each other. They're not wrecking each other. They're getting it done. They're racing, Doug, and they're having a blast out here in this VSU Cup race.
Yes, they are. And I'm looking just a little further back right there, 4th and 5th right now, Kevin. Travis McKinney currently under fire from the 08 of Danny Gutierrez, who has been driving it hard down in there and pulling right up on the bumper of Travis McKinney and has been looking to make a move now for about a lap and a half. Just can't get the clearing that he needs to get that car underneath McKinney. McKinney trying to protect that bottom, get all that he can out of it, and stay right there within sight of those 2 cars in front of him as he's fell off just a little bit. But I tell you what, looking up just in front of them, Kevin Kelly Jr. is all over that 27 of Dale Reynolds.
Yeah, I tell you, these guys, all these guys, everyone that's in this race tonight, they have put on one heck of a show tonight. And we've seen the same group. It's basically this core group, and I would say the first 6 or 7 cars, Doug, that have just been getting it done all night long. They cannot get away from each other. I would say all those cars are pretty much evenly matched except the 48. He seems to fall off there. You know, the middle part of a run. We've documented that before. You know, he's a sprint car right now. He's hoping that, hey, you know, a caution will come out with like 25 or 30 to go, and I'm all set. And I really think he'd be the car to beat on that. But, you know, we're not. We're sitting here and we're racing as he's under fire from the 08. But these guys have leaned on each other all night long, not made any mistakes, and raced just about as hard as you can race without wrecking each other and just getting it done. Again, just can't say enough about what these drivers have done out here tonight.
Yeah, they are running very competitive lap times and very competitive race out here, just like you said, Kevin. And these guys have been holding nothing back. They've been giving it their all out here tonight. They're landing on the track and racing their hearts out. And it's all been good, clean racing out here, especially this front group core that we've seen up the biggest most of the night here. But, you know, these guys are laying down and putting together an exceptional race. But I'm looking back here 4th and 5th now, Kevin, as Gutierrez is making a move once again on Travis McKinney. Takes it down on the inside, pulls alongside of him. But that group right behind him, Justin McLucas and Brian Lee, have kind of pulled up into that mix here as Gutierrez gets around, takes over the number 4 position around McKinney. But Brian Lee is coming hard and fast right now too, Kevin.
Yeah, Brian Lee's coming, and somebody we said a while ago, I knew all we had to do is say the car number and name, the 15, Darren Benj. Then they're riding in 8th place. He's back up there flexing some muscle now. So we've got guys that's been sitting around all race long. And look at this, Doug. The 27 and the 87 were a 1/10 and a half faster than the leader that lap, and here they come.
Yeah, they are, you know, getting together. It looks like they may have decided to kind of, let's settle things out here between the 2 of us. Let's work together and chase that 3 car down before he starts getting away. And over the last 5 laps or so, they have eaten into the lead that Lewis Bussa had. And at the same time in doing so, they have pulled away from Gutierrez, McKinney, Lee, and McLucas, that group right behind them. So they used the 2-wide racing that they had going on back there, kind of put a gap between 3rd and 4th, and also working together have been able to eat into that lead Lewis Bussa has right now. So these guys are definitely working together, and like you said, they are teammates over there at EPR Racing.
Yeah, the 87, we're watching He's found the line here in the chatter on the radio. He's diming in that corner. Look at the run the 87 gets off of turn 2. Setting up the 87 all over him, Doug, as he's going to dive down. You wouldn't know they were teammates by the way they're racing right now. But the 87, if you watch him in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, is entering just a little bit higher, and he's arcing it down and carrying that speed down through the corner. One of the fastest cars on the track right now. As you watch him come off the corner, right there, man, he accelerates so good off of there. So the youngster figuring something out here in the late stages of this race.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly Jr. flexing some muscle right there, moving underneath Dale Reynolds, you know, up into the number 2 position now as Louis Bussa sees what's going on behind him. He's put the cold to it here, so to speak, Kevin, over the last few laps. And I tell you one that I'm really looking at right now that is really putting down some blistering laps right now is Danny Gutierrez in that 08 machine, who is reeling in second and third lap after lap, and it won't be long till he's up there in that mix fighting for that top 2.
Yeah, these guys were going at it, and I think when they got side by side, they allowed that 08, and back behind them, the 16 and the 48 are in a dogfight. The 48's in that transition period, and the 04 is going to slide underneath there and try to take that position too. Man, gets tight, and the 04 is going to try to take a run underneath of the 16, going through the dog leg as they head down into 3, Doug.
Yeah, and it looks like he's still almost got a fender in there as he got down into 3 right there. Brian Lee doesn't cut him off right there, moving down to that inside, kept it about the middle of the track. McLucas still on the inside. Lee's going to clear him right there. It looks like McLucas might have got a little loose there. Lost a lot of ground right there. But I tell you what, following through, Darren Bench in that 15 machine underneath the 48 now, starting to flex a little muscle himself, following through the 04 and the 16 from a little bit earlier. So, you know, Darren Bench starting to come to life out here in the latter portion of this race, Kevin.
Yeah, you know, look at the 16. He almost spun that car, Doug. Don't know if we get a replay of that, but that 16 was in a 4-wheel slide in turn 3. Gathered it back up, saved it, and only lost a couple spots. But, man, as we see on the replay, look at that save, Doug.
Yeah, Brian Lee got in there. It looks like he just got in there very hot into that corner. Just about overshot it and had to lock those brakes up heavy, Kevin. And it's exactly what happened. Looks like it almost went around on him. Maybe a little too much rear brake in that car for this latter part of the fuel run that we're on right now. But, you know, gathers it back up, does a good job of keeping the car underneath him. Loses a couple of positions right there. Relegates himself back to, you know, the 7th place position. But I tell you what, Darren Bench up into 6th place position. He is really starting to make a run on things right now, and that car has come to life here the last 25, 30 laps, Kevin.
Yeah, the guy you were talking about a while ago that's making a comeback is the 08, man. He's been watching the 87's line, I think, as they are running almost an identical line in 3 and 4, and he is making up a ton of time on the 87 and the 27 there, so he's going to be a player here soon. What the 3 needs to do is just keep seeing that clear windshield, nothing out front there, drive his line, worry about these guys racing, because you know if they get side by side back there, he's going to pull away even sooner. What he doesn't want to see is a caution, because I'm telling you, if the 48 can come out anywhere near the top 4 or 5 with 4 fresh tires, it is on.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. But I tell you what, Kevin Kelly Jr. is holding on to that number 2 position. With Louis Bussa, though, has, like I said earlier, he's seeing what's going on. He's getting towards the latter part of this race. You know, he's hoping for no cautions right now because he's starting to put some distance on himself in that 2nd place machine. He's about a 1.6-second gap right now between 1st and 2nd. But Kevin Kelly Jr. just doing a great job out here tonight. That young rookie running around in the 2nd place position with 42 laps to go now. So I'm sure we're going to see one more pit stop before this is all over with. So that could be the one that changes everything. As I hear, we got a car up in the wall out there on the track. So maybe even stalled out on the track. Looks like we got a caution out for it. Looks like we got a car stalled in the middle of the track, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, caution's out. Wow, the 87 just avoided the 87 there. Wow, that could have been disastrous for the 87 there. The youngster got on the brakes and almost brought that thing around. So spotter needs to be on his game a little bit more. They almost collected the 2nd and 3rd place car.
Yeah, Howard Wildrick, I mean, doing exactly, what they tell you to do. I mean, unfortunately, got up there, looped the car around up on that high side, but, with the cars spread out across the track where they were, Kevin, it would have been disastrous for him to allow that car just to back down there, so he done the exact thing that he needs to do, just lock that brake up, and hold it right there where it was at so he could stay out, out of the racing groove, so to speak. So, unfortunate break for Howard Wildrick, being sitting there so long waiting on all the cars to come through for him to be able to make that. Just cost him a lot of positions and a lap right there. But Kevin Kelly Jr., that spotter's definitely got to get on the horn a lot faster than that, because that was about to be disastrous for Junior.
Yeah, that could have been disastrous for the second and third place cars there. But we were just talking a while ago, and looking through the field right now, the 48 is in 11th place. Everybody's been fast on pit road all night long. I'm telling you, this fits right into the 48's window. If he can come out of here and come out at least 9th or 10th, Doug, think about it. It's almost 5th physically on the racetrack, because depending on whether you're on the inside or the outside, you're still 5th in line. Even though you're in 10th position, you're in 5th as the leader's hit. That could play right into that guy's hands. And this is going to be an important pit stop and one heck of an important restart.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Kevin. Important pit stop for sure. And, we saw all the lead cars are heading down pit road right now, going to take on service. So a lot of these guys who pit crews have been knocking off those sub-14 pit stops really need their guys to have one of those right now, because this is a crucial pit stop for these guys. So, as most of these guys are in right now. Go ahead, Kevin.
And who's going to gamble? Who is going to gamble here and take two? I think we've seen the answer right there. There had to be some guys there that took 2 tires. This is going to be crazy. If the 08 took 4 tires, man, what a pit stop he had. We saw the 87 come in second. I think he come off 4th. So this is going to be insane.
Yeah, very interesting there. The 08 picks up 2 positions right there on pit road, while Kevin Kelly Jr. loses 2 positions on pit road. Lewis Bussa, first off pit road, of course, comes in first and gets off first. So I think possibly the slowest pit stop we've actually seen out of that 87 group tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, just hearing from the guys on pit road, they said that they had a wheel hang up on the left side, and that was the difference. They had a 15-second pit stop. So, got some digging to do. But one thing that might work to the youngster's advantage here is, guess where he's starting, Doug? On the outside. And we've seen all night long that he loves starting on that outside. But he's going to have somebody in front of him this time, so it's a little bit different story. But look for this to be one heck of a restart. As I'm going through right now and trying to find, it looks like the 48 had a bad pit stop. He come out at 15th. That's not going to get it done. He needed to come out of there at least where he was at in 11th, maybe even 10th, to get something done. But again, if you look at it, Doug, that's 7th in line, whether you're inside or outside, so he can make some stuff happen. The only thing you don't want to do is just start running through here so fast that you get yourself in trouble and take yourself out. So he's got a long road to hoe, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I'm looking just a little bit in front of him. A guy we haven't spoke much about tonight, Kevin. Currently running in the 13th position, and at the scrumptious Dodge out there is Joshua Biddle. Been very quiet so far tonight. We haven't talked about him much, but putting together a good run for a part-time driver out here, currently running in 13th. We haven't had to call his name tonight, anything bad, and, he's been very quiet. And a place like Phoenix, it's hard to be quiet, but he's quietly run around inside the top 15 about all night, currently shown in 13th position. But I tell you,
what a run, Doug, coming in for the 76. Like you said, showing some patience here and getting through this field. The thing that I'm so curious to watch for is we see the 42 is going to be a wave around here. Is we haven't seen the 08 up front, and we documented his line last time. He had changed his lineup just a little bit. and was working his way up to catching those leaders. He was right on the second and third place cars. One thing we know about the '08 car, very talented driver. He has no problem using the bumper, but he uses it, we say that respectfully aggressive way. You know, he's going to use it. He's going to get through there. And if you're point leader, you got to be careful right here. With the '08 starting on the outside, he's got nothing to lose, and we might see one of those drives where they just keep it hung up there and drive down to the center of the corner. So really looking forward to what the '08 can do on a restart here.
Yeah, and just a quick update there on pit road too, Kevin. Dennis Wright in that number 4 machine came down pit road. Engine just shut down on him while sitting in his pit stall. They were unable to get that thing fired back up. As backed it back down pit road, crews pushed it back there and put it in the garage area, trying to figure out what happened with that thing, but just would not fire back up for him on pit road as we get to 1 to go there.
Yeah, as we're going to 1 to go, and this is like the final round of a heavyweight fight. We keep saying it, Doug. If we stay green right here, you know, this is it. You know, God help us if it comes down to a green-white checkered, what it's going to be like then. But I look for this to be one of the best restarts we've seen all year long. Is we're going to have 34 laps to go at the line as we see the 3 car takes the inside lane, and the '08 is going to be on the outside with the 87. And we've seen the 87 all night long battle on the outside. He's outside of his teammate there in the 27, who's in the 3rd position on the inside. So cannot wait to see what the '08 and the 87 that got cooked up here. If they stick together and give each other a lot of room, as we see the 87 scrubbing the tires, they can drive on the outside. So one heck of a restart as the 3 gets a pretty decent one, but the '08 gets a better one, Doug. We said he needed to do it. He needs to arc that thing down in there and pin that 3 and drive it on the outside. It looks like the 3 is going to slide right up in front of him. And, man, the 87, he got stuck outside. He's back and forth. He's trying to get down on the outside of his teammate, but the '08 is all over the 3. He jacks him up and moves him over into turn 3 and 4. That allows the 27 to 87 to go by. It is on now, Doug. We said he was going to use the bumper, and he did.
Yeah, we said before the night was over with, the bumper would have came into play, and I don't think that was completely meant to be that way, but either way, that 08 gets into the back bumper of the 03, the 3 car. The 3 car really had to check up, and now he is, you know, he's got that car, he's driving it hard down there and fell back to 5th place position while gathering that thing in together. Dale Reynolds moves up into 2nd. We got a caution out on the speedway right now, Kevin.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Man, if the 3 gets back to the '08, it is on, Doug, and this is what we talked about right here. Patiently aggressive. You know, he got the 3 jacked up there in the corner, and he saved it, but got in there, and man, what an aggressive move. But you know what I'm saying? It wasn't one of those where he didn't wreck him, he moved him. And we said it was going to come to that, and there it was right there. So we thought this restart was going to be something. Wait to the next one, Doug.
Yeah, exactly. And that caution, I'm sitting here kind of looking back at the replay on my monitor, Kevin. Looks like the 54 got in there extremely hard getting down into turn 3. Had to get on the binders pretty heavy, and that rear end just kind of came around. And when it did, other cars around him making some evasive maneuvers. The 76, a Biddle, pushes up the hill, gets into Frankie Samanto, and then Travis McKinney coming through there. We documented, you know, the fast car he's got all night. Comes down the track onto the apron, gets tagged by the 31 of Alex Monteferrante. And I tell you what, they was just cars going everywhere there. Jerry Hinkle just driving through, nothing but a cloud of smoke right there. Driving by instinct only, gets through unscathed. But man, several cars involved in that one.
Yeah, and here we are at the end. You know, the patience meter is just about expired now. And we saw the '08 get into the back of the 3 there. It got in the corner so much better than the 3. You know, not sure if he leaned on him on purpose or, you know, just rattled his cage a little bit, got in there and got him loose. But the 3 was lucky to save that car in that corner. Just a brilliant job by him. Got jacked up, and you know how hard it is when somebody's got the back of your car lifted up, Doug, to save that thing.
Yeah, and I tell you, I'm kind of going back, and I was just watching that replay on our monitor there, Kevin, on the replay, but I tell you, somebody done a heck of a job in all of that. That last little caution there was a 63 or 61, excuse me, of Charles Payne. You had the car 54, Charles Chapman, spinning up the hill, the 48 of the Travis McKinney sliding down the hill, and he splits right through the middle of both of them, comes out unscathed on that. So a heck of a job of driving there by Payne in that 61 machine.
Yeah, what a move with 61 right there. You know, there's a little bit of luck involved and a little bit of skill, and it worked out all for him right there. But like I said, a lot of stuff to drive through there. And like you said, the 12 driving through the smoke also. So good job by all those guys. I don't know that we've seen anybody come down pit road, so it's pretty much what we got right in line is what we got. It looks like the 12 car is going to be heading down pit road. But, you know, we called it, Doug. We said that it was probably going to take an aggressive move to get somebody, not necessarily 3, just somebody out of the groove there and try to pull away. And I think the 08 was going to drive the race of his life there. You know, he had nothing but, you know, wide open track out of his windshield, and he wanted to go. And he probably knew that if the 3 got back to him, it'd be a little payback there. So he was definitely had everything to gain by standing on the gas there with 34 to go on that one. So now we're going to have even less laps to go, and that little the heart rate monitor is going to go up just a little bit. These guys are getting excited. They got to go. They want to push to the front. So this restart here is probably going to be really insane.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it will be, Kevin, as Dan Pearl will be our lucky dog this time in the number 42 machine after, you know, this latest incident here on the track. But I tell you what, Kevin, we got less than 30 laps to go now. So just like you said, it's gloves off time now, so to speak. The patience meter has pretty much, especially I think for certain drivers out there after what we just saw on the track, maybe sitting on the empty meter right now, on the empty side of that. And the aggression meter is starting to reach its 3/4 mark and starting to head towards full. So I think we're going to see a lot of moves coming up here over the next 30 laps that guys typically wouldn't have made throughout the race. And it's going to be a lot more aggressive racing coming here soon as we get towards the end of this thing and everybody wants to take that checkered flag home.
Well, you know, the way I look at it, Doug, is we've got 20 cars still out here running for this, and that was almost a 3 car right there, you know, possibly not being able to continue in this race. That's almost half of the point lead that he had right there. So I'm sure his heart was basically right through his chest as he was gathering up. And then I'm sure that the anger factor hit in. You know, we all sit here and, you know, we've all got into each other before and not meant to do it, but you know, when it's late in this race and the emotions are high, and like you said, the patient meter's down, and you're excited, and you want to go. The last thing you want to hear one guy say is, "Hey, he come back over the radio and he said he's sorry, didn't mean to do that." The first thing out of your mouth is, "Yeah, sure he did." You know, there's going to be like 25 laps to go here, and I look for the 3 to drive the race of his life right now to get back up there. If anything else, the guy does not need any more motivation, and he just got some. So it's like they say, be careful if you tug on Superman's cape, you might just get him.
Yeah, you're right about that, Kevin. And that's the thing about it too. If you know, let's just say Louis Bussa wasn't able to you know, gather that thing back in right there, you know, and had put it in the wall and even cut down a tire, whatever the case may be. Right now, with the way this race has been going, we've been getting some green flag laps in about every 50 laps or so. It seems like we have a caution or so. But the thing is, we only got 1 car right now out of the top 20 who's a lap down, and that's the 42 of Dan Pearl. So if anything happens to Louis Bussa's car here, you know, even something to cutting a tire down, as simple as that, and he has to go to pit road and loses a lap, he's in 20th position automatically right there. So half that point lead he's got is gone. So, you know, he's got to be extremely careful as well as being aggressive at the same time.
Yeah, this is, we get the 1 to go here. This is going to be one crazy, insane restart. We're seeing the 87 in unfamiliar territory on the bottom. Got the 27 on the outside. Hearing basically on the radios down there, the 87 communicating with the 3, just saying, "Hey man, I know you're on a mission, just leave me out of that part. So got the youngster all riled up with the 3 car in the back of him. He knows he's on a mission to get back to the front and knows the situation there. So look for the youngster to protect his rear end as we get ready to go green.
Yeah, I was about to say, right before you said that, Kevin, I tell you what, Kevin Kelly Jr. is in a place that probably no one on the track wants to be right now, stuck right in the middle of that 08 to that 3 machine after the incident. But just a quick update before we go green, the 7 car, same problem we had a little bit earlier, wasn't able to get it fired. It died on him on pit road and wasn't able to refire it. He's put it behind the wall too. As we get the green flag here, Gutierrez gets a good start up on that inside line. Kevin Kelly Jr. giving him a little push to keep him going here as we head off into turn 1. Looks like Reynolds is hanging tough out there on the outside, and that 08 of Gutierrez is side by side with him still, as 87 of Kevin Kelly Jr. has dropped off just a touch right there. Trent gathers it back in and pulls up closer to the 08. But right now, the 08.
Oh, we got a spin in the back at 61. The caution is out. I didn't see who else involved, but saw heavy contact, Doug, the 61 into the wall.
Yeah, it looked like the 61. I couldn't tell exactly what happened there, but it looks like it involved the 23 of Frankie Samato there. So a few cars involved in that one. All I could see was smoke right there. That was a big smoky haze, Kevin. And
yeah,
looks like coming down here in the corner, it looked like the 61 could have possibly been tagged right there. It brings that thing around. A lot of smoke on the track. The 47 comes down, gets into the 76, and several other cars involved. Wow, just that was about 6 cars in that one, Kevin. So a lot of cars will be torn up on that one.
Yeah, a lot of cars torn up, and I was just getting ready to get out of my mouth before the caution flag flew. These guys, I couldn't believe the close contact racing that was going on. Literally, these guys were just inches apart from like 1st to 10th all the way back, just battling, not beating on each other, but just close. And the 27, like you said, Doug, he was stuck on the outside trying to hang tough. He maintains that 2nd spot. The 87 maintained that 3rd. The 27's got to be going, oh, man, here we go again. I'm going to be on the outside again. And the 3 cars right there working with the 87. They were trying to poke up in there. But just tight pack racing. Just can't explain how tight that is when you're inside that car racing that close with those guys.
Yeah, and I tell you, kind of go back to a point we made a long time ago, Kevin, during this race, and we even made it during pre-race, you know, a good point. Let's go back and look at that number 47 car of Jay Richards. You know, and in the early first 150 laps of this race, we were calling his number and calling his name all night long, having a great run up towards the front, looking really good, real player in the race. Had one bad pit stop, put himself back there in the pack. And I just saw him right there involved in that incident also. That's the 4th time, 3rd or 4th time tonight he's been involved in the incident. You know, completely not his fault, just a product of racing in the wrong place at the wrong time. But, you know, that guy has went from a top running car over the last 100 laps to, you know, just barely hanging on to a car that's running right now just because of that one bad pit stop. So, you know, it just shows you how much fortunes can change just based on a pit stop here.
Yeah, track position here is everything. It is king. I mean, you know, we see him get tracked back there. One person that I have been keeping my eye on right now, and he's going to be restarting, I think, in the 11th position, is the 48. So he's made up about 4 spots from that last caution, or last pit stop, when he had the bad pit stop there and came in and came out 15th. So he's rebounded to 11th. Interesting to see what he's going to be able to do. He's going to be starting on the inside as we're gathering the field up here, trying to get everything straightened out, getting our scoring and all that. But here's the 15th up in 4th. We didn't see him. Here's the 16th. The 16 car up in 6th. McLucas is back here. The 06 of Partridge is back up here. We see the lucky dog of 42, Dan Pearl there. You know, like I said, Brian Lee, McLucas, Partridge, the 34, the 78. You know, it's at that point of the race, man, where, you know, all of a sudden the whole running order just gets jumbled upside down. We're seeing players here that we haven't seen at all. So it's going to be real interesting right here on this restart to see what happens.
Yeah, that it will be. And I was kind of looking at too, right there, what you're talking about. Right there in 12th place at 31 of Alex Monteferrante. First time back after about a 6-month hiatus from racing here. Another player we just mentioned right there. Currently back in the 12th position right now. So as we're getting ready to go green here, it's going to be really interesting to see these last. As here we go, the green flag is flying, and Kevin Kelly Jr. is just tucked right up on the back of that 08 machine right there, as Dale Reynolds is fighting up on the outside. Looks like the 08 bike got a little loose there getting in the corner, Kevin, as Reynolds is going to clear him coming off of turn 2 here.
Yeah, it almost looks like the 08 is a little bit of a roadblock right now, and he better get it sorted out real quick because those guys are going to be on him like white on rice, as the 87 is inside the 15 trying to battle. 15's trying to stay on the outside. And we've watched the 87. It takes him a couple laps to get going as the 15 shoots way up high, and the 16's trying to take advantage of that. Not sure what happened to the 08 there, but he's seen a guy that back up, and look who's back about 3 car lengths from him, or 3 positions back. Oh, and the 16 just wrecked the 87, turned it right in the middle of the corner, Doug.
Yeah, looked like on that one. Looks like the 3 may have tapped the 16 right there. Kevin put the 16 into the 87. That could have been a chain reaction. We may have to go back to the replay and look at that one, but looks like there might have been some contact between the 3 and the 16. I'm not really sure there, but the 16 definitely got into the 87. Unfortunate for both of those cars.
Yeah, and here we are. We're seeing, like you said, a chain reaction. That's what it looks like. Where the replay will show us what's going on, but it might have been one of those chain reaction deals, like you said, where the 3 got in the back of one car and pushed him into the other one. So feel bad for the youngster up there running, top 5 all night long, and he's probably going to have some severe damage, finish this race way in the back. So bad luck there for the 87 crew, that's for sure.
Yeah, very unfortunate for the 87 crew there. But I tell you, Kevin, that's a lot of ways, and that's the product of good, hard, close racing right there. I mean, that's exactly what that was. I mean, they were stacked up, nose to tail right there, everybody fighting for their positions. But unfortunately, the 87 walks out of that one. I hate to use the word, but the biggest loser in this case. But unfortunately for the 87, he's the one that goes around and pays the heaviest price out of that whole incident.
Yeah, it's one of those deals, man. You race long enough, you see it all right there. I mean, running around in 3rd position, basically they know their night is done. They're just going to be out there trying to run what they can for points. It's go time, and that's what happens sometimes. You just get mixed up in somebody else's mess, and that's what looked like happened right there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. Unfortunate, night for unfortunate way to end the night. Right there, unfortunate way to end the night for Kevin Kelly Jr. I mean, he's still going to continue on, but that's definitely after running so well all night, really taking care of that car, driving the wheels off of it, doing what he had to do to have 15, 20 laps left here to go, and being in this position is definitely not where he wants to be.
Yeah, listening down on pit road, trying to keep him pepped up, get him going. He had a good car, nothing to hang, his head about tonight. Just got wrapped up into something. They'll bounce back next week and race, but back up front, we've seen, we've seen 2 quick cautions here right in a row with everything going on. We see the 64 take the wave around, and it looks like to me. The 3 car, Doug, is going to be lined up behind the 08 on this restart.
That could provide for a very interesting restart, Kevin. But I don't think with the level of professionalism with some of these guys, I don't think we're going to see an intentional fender banging here. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Wouldn't be the first time. But I don't think at this point, if you're Louis Bussa, you've had a little bit of time now to calm down after 2 quick cautions like that. And I think at this point, if you're Louis Bussa, you've got to kind of be very careful if that's the case, and not get into the 08 or get mixed up in some type of altercation that takes you out of the race, so to speak.
Yeah, this is going to this is going to be really interesting right here with the 08 and the 27. Again, the 27 I think has been taking a page out of the 87 on restart. So got to go, and that's it. And the 3 car, we thought he was going to be lined up behind the 08, but he's not. He's on the outside. So look for the 3 to follow that 27 through.
Yeah, the 3 is going to be trying to follow the 27 through, but look right behind him. You got the 15 and the 16 lined up nose to tail right there behind the 08. So, you know, those 2 guys are looking to put those cars up front too. So, you know, we're going to go green flag right here with about 15 to go. So it's going to get real interesting real fast, I'm sure. As it looks like Reynolds got a heck of a good restart there. He's up on that outside, and looks like Gutierrez down on the inside just isn't able to get the run down into turn 1 on each one of those, as we got a caution out on the speedway once again. So, you know, just as quick as that happened, we're back under caution again, Kevin.
Yeah, trying to scan the track and figured out what happened there. It seems like we're on that caution, 3 caution. So it looks like the 12 car and the 61 got together, and here we are with, wow, not many laps to go. We're probably going to be around 10 laps to go by the time we get going here. These guys are trying to settle this out. The leaders are still staying out on what tires they have. We see the 27 out in the lead now, so he's going to have his pick of lane now. But the 08 is not showing the speed, Doug, that he did earlier.
Yeah, that's for sure. He definitely looks like that car just isn't getting up to speed right off the bat there, Ken, on these restarts. And, you know, with him not getting up to speed, of course, that has, you know, ripple effects, so to speak. You know, and, you know, those guys who are behind him can't get up to full speed right away. So, you know, it keeps causing problems on back through the field. And, you know, that's just unfortunate for some of those guys, as we're winding down laps here quick. Got 13 to go. So you've got to get a good restart, and you've got to get moving fast right off the block here. And if Gutierrez can't get that restart, you know, you're going to see some guys, I think, kind of see that, and right at the start-finish line are going to try to dive under to beat him into turn 1.
You know, the track official, basically the flag man, we've had to kick him a couple times to make sure that he was awake during this race. But man, here lately, he's going to have tendonitis in his elbow from waving his flag, Doug. We've had about 3 or 4 cautions just right after each other, and trying to get this thing settled out. And like I said, we called it. We said it's going to be a dogfight right in the bottom, right to the end. And here we are with just a handful of laps to go, and we're going at it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kevin. You know, not a whole lot of laps left. 12 laps to go here. 11 when we get back to get the green flag here, as the 08 lined up inside on the 27. Looks like Dale Reynolds on the 27 is going to take that outside line. So, you know, looks like he's very comfortable up there. But now we have, just like you talked about, Kevin, that 08 and that 3 car lined up nose to tail down there on the inside. So, you know, Lewis Bussa, as we get the green flag, you know, that 3 car, Lewis Bussa, he's going to be looking to make a quick move to try to get himself, and just like that, 3 wide down into turn 1.
Oh, they make contact, and the 3 spins in front of the field. Wow. Just what the 3 did not want to see. We called it earlier. Man, you got to wonder about that judgment call right there as they got together. We'll have to look at the replay. Not sure what happened, Doug. Could have been some payback. Could have been just aggressive driving. But, man, what a turn of events. Is probably one of the guys that we picked at the beginning of this race that might win this thing is all messed up.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I called it right there. You know, Kevin, before that, somebody was going to make that move if Gutierrez couldn't get up to speed. And, you know, just as I get down into turn 1, Lewis Bussa is all the way down. He hits looks like he hits the wall on the inside and causes that car to bounce back up right into the 08 and spins it right there in front of the field. Looks like the 15, the 16, the 04, several cars involved in this one. And exactly like you said, Kevin, not what you wanted to see from the 3 if you're the crew chief tonight.
Yeah, we got to see where the 16 is at because this is going to affect the points massively here, as we see the 3 car on pit road really messed up on the back right quarter panel coming on pit road. basically the 16 needs to get all the spots here that he can get going into Homestead. And if we thought this was going to happen, 16 is involved with that, so we got to see where he's going to end up. But it might be all a wash. But man, what a turn of events right here. If it happens, we were talking a while ago, Doug, if the 3 didn't make it out of this, and right now had to put behind put it on the haul or whatever, he would lose about 20 points. He's sitting on pit road right now. We're showing him in 19th position, the 16 in front of him. So he's pretty much okay right there. But he is lucky that he's able to keep that car going, because as we documented before, if he would have had issues and not been able to continue with this race, he would have lost about 20 points right there in that whole spot as he's coming back on pit road again. So very lucky the 3 cars able to roll out of here on 4 tires and finish this race. 16, like I said, got involved with that. So it's basically a wash. I think right now, as it stands, he would gain 1 point, 16 would, on the 3 car. But it's like a sparring match out there, Doug.
You know, if you're a 16 car, that's the kind of the thing you've been banking on happening with Louis Bussa, is, you know, that one bad race. But the thing you didn't see coming was the fact that he was going to have that bad race and take you with him. So that's the unfortunate. But the unfortunate part of tonight's race, we talked about the wild cards, you know, a few weeks ago, being Talladega and Martinsville, Kevin. But I tell you what, it looks like the wild card has been Phoenix, because the top 3 cars of all 3 had trouble in the last 25 laps. Top 3 in points, all 3. You know, not going to get the finish they were looking for tonight.
No, and now, you know, because of this, we jump all kinds of players up there. One guy, again, that I've been watching the whole time, Doug, is the 48 car. He's now up to 8th position. And we've seen the 31 be involved in a multiple issues tonight, and he's riding around in 7th position. So we've got guys that, you know, have just gotten up here by chance and trying to mix it up now with these leaders. And we got the 15 sitting on the outside, or I should say on the inside, in 2nd position now. And just a few laps ago, we were talking about him being 15th. So I've learned that anything can go on, and usually will. And, you know, this is going to be one crazy restart.
And look right there behind the 27, Kevin, the 78 of Chris Belt. We've documented all night. He has not had the car and not been running up front. Now he finds himself in the top 3 right now. So it's really mixed the whole order up as we get the green flag here and head off into turn 1. Looks like they're going to go 3 wide here as Gutierrez tries to shoot to the inside, isn't able to make it stick. The 15 has to check up, get that into the corner. 27 up on the outside. We got some racing going on here as Darian Benj is trying to work up into the inside of Rumors, but isn't able to do it. Is going to make another shot at it here, diving down on the inside, pushes up just a little bit. The 08 and the 78 having a heck of a battle back here for 3rd as another caution flies.
Oh my goodness, Doug. They can't get this thing settled, man. I'm going to tell you what, there was beating and banging all over the track. The 08 got in underneath to the 15 and changed his mind at the last second, because that was about to get ugly right there.
Yes, it was, but looks like the cause for that caution, Kevin, might have been the 76. We haven't called his number tonight hardly at all, but it looks like Joshua Biddle got down onto the inside, got down on the apron there in the dog leg, checked up just a little bit. That front brake locked up on him and shot straight up into the track, into the 31 of Barden and the 42 of Dan Pearl, I'm sorry, the 31 of Monteferrante and the 42 of Dan Pearl. So once again, we found those 2 together in an incident tonight. Unfortunately, as Kevin Kelly Jr. slides underneath, and Chuck Garcia also collected as Biddle comes around and spins.
These guys, the 31 and the 42, are going to have nightmares about each other, Doug. They're like magnets. They can't get away from each other. Every incident that they're in, you know, everything that they're in, they just can't shake each other, can't get away with it. And the 16 car, how did he get himself through all that, Doug?
That was, wow, I really don't know. The 16 just barely gets there, but the 34's collected in it too right there at the end. I missed altogether how the 34 got collected in that, but he was also involved in it up on the high side. But golly, the 16 of Brian Lee just barely, and I mean barely, gets through that, Kevin.
Yeah, that is just insane. It looks like the 3 tapped the 16, you know, on top of all that. And, you know, it's starting to turn into a junkyard out there where it looks like we're running Martinsville and Bristol instead of Phoenix, Doug.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that, Kevin. We currently got, gosh, there's only 20 cars. We've got 11 off the track right now. And now we got 2 cars a lap down due to you know, damage from their cars and pit stops there. To Charles Payne in the 61 and Chuck Garcia in the 24. Once again, Garcia, you know, just a product of wrong place at the wrong time. So, you know, as we get to, when we go back here, we're going to be in some green-white checker situation, Kevin.
We keep saying that they're going to be insane restarts as we're hearing that they're waving this off, so we'll have 1 to go at the line. But oh, we are going green. We are going green. Sorry about that misinformation there. The 27 on the outside, he needs the restart of his life, Doug, to clear that 15, and he gets it, man, like he shot out of a cannon. He needs to get that car low, but the 15 drives right up in there. It looks like the 27 is going to clear him. 7/8 on the outside, the 08's down there. Man, the 27, he just wants to see this thing stay green as he pulls away, Doug.
Yeah, he pulls away, got a real good restart there. Benz didn't get the restart, you know, some of the others, and the 08 of Gutierrez gave him a couple of shots there to kind of get him going, you know, heading down into turn 1. But Dale Reynolds has really poured the coals on us. We got the white flag right there, and it's starting to pull away with this thing. You know, most of these guys are sorted out, but I tell you, looking right behind the leaders there, McLucas and the Gutierrez fighting for that 4th and 5th place position, having a real good battle back there, as Gutierrez still on the inside of McLucas, driving it hard into turn 4, isn't going to be able to make the pass. As they come up to the line, looks like 1st place going to go to Reynolds, 2nd place in Baron Bench, and 3rd to Chris Melton. Where did that come from?
Man, I tell you, these guys just battled it out, and battled all night long. And the 78 got up there and got himself a top 3 out of it. You know, looking back at, you know, what transpired on the last 20 laps of this race, Doug, it was absolute pandemonium out there. It was crazy.
Yes, and with all that happening, Kevin, Kevin Kelly Jr. at 87 ends up coming home in 9th place. Louis Bussa comes home in 11th, and Brian Lee comes home 15th. So Louis Bussa is still going to extend the points lead.
Still going to get out of here, and I would tell you, you know, from what I hear on the radio right now, the 87, you would think they just won Daytona. They can't believe they came back. They got a 9th out of this, but the 27, give them the nod. I mean, they went out there, Doug, and did what they had to do, even on old tires and all those restarts. They made it work. So they, you know, if we've seen him start the race, get in trouble early with the wrong tire pressures in there, and then battles back for the win. So, hey, maybe they need to start every race with the wrong tire pressures.
That could be the case there, Kevin. Definitely had a tough break there at the beginning, and to you know, had you told me about lap 50 or especially about lap 25 or 30 that Dale Reynolds would come back and win this thing tonight, I don't know how much credibility I would have gave you on that, but he definitely made it happen. So tell you what, fans, let's step away for a quick commercial break here, and me and Kevin will get up out of the booth here, try to run down on pit road, get some interviews with tonight's finishers and such, and see all of the mindset of these drivers. So stay tuned. We'll be back live here to Phoenix International Speed Raceway for the Bad Boys Boxing 500 presented by NuffWORLD TV.
Link engaged.
Welcome to TeamSpeak,
Advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time using our crystal clear voice technology. As a pioneer in the industry, TeamSpeak has become one of the most recognized brands in online gaming and voice-over IP solutions. TeamSpeak features include a customizable toolbar, a clickable server icon and support for channel icons, custom graphics and BB code-enabled info panes, detailed user info and support for uploading avatars, firewall-friendly file transfer, tabbed public and private text chat with logging, custom skins, themes and sound packs, and much more.
I'm someone that's more than just a casual gamer. It's important for me to have fast, organized, quality voice comms. With TeamSpeak, I'm able to quickly customize user permissions and email a privilege key to an offline user. So the next time they log into the server, they'll be set up exactly how I want them to be. TeamSpeak also lets us do file transfers, assign player rank, insignia, upload avatars, or create custom skins. For me, there's no better choice out there than TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak is free to use for non-commercial entities. Low-cost professional hosting is also available through our global network of authorized TeamSpeak host providers. For online gaming titles, social networks, government, military, or simulator projects, TeamSpeak also offers a software development kit. The TeamSpeak SDK allows developers to integrate our technology directly into their existing product or service. So no matter which game you're playing or with whom you wish to communicate, TeamSpeak has you covered. TeamSpeak. Flexible, powerful, crystal clear voice communication on any platform.
And welcome back live here to Phoenix International Raceway. Tonight's presentation of the Bad Boys Boxing 500, presented by NuffWORLD TV. Mr. Dale Reynolds still out there enjoying himself, parking that car down at Victory Lane right now. But while we're standing by waiting for tonight's race winner, I'm standing by down here on pit lane right now with Rob Partridge. Rod, I will say congratulations on a hard-fought race tonight. Wasn't exactly, the same finish that you were looking to get, I'm sure, but you were able to, persevere and fight through the night. Kind of take us through the night you had tonight.
It was a lot of fun. I was just trying to take care of my car and make sure I didn't get it too loose so I could get to the end there. And I knew that I could run the same speed as the leaders, but I just never did quite get that track position. Tried to save my stuff too much, I guess.
Yeah, it seemed like during the first part of the race, you were up there, pretty much fighting it out, for the top five positions, of course, and then, later on during the race, just couldn't get the track position. It was the car just? How was the track tonight? First, let's ask you that.
The track felt real good to me. It stayed pretty much the same. Like I said, I kept resisting the urge to loosen my car up, but there at the end, running with all the points leaders, and I was just being real cautiously aggressive. It was a real privilege, real fun being up there at the end and just having a chance. I had a good time.
All right, well, congratulations to Rob Partridge finishing 6th tonight. Started out real good run tonight. had that problem with trying to get track position and such. So good hard-fought finish, bringing it home 6th tonight. But I understand, Kevin, you've caught up with Chris Melton down there on pit lane. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've got Chris Melton, driver to 78 down here. And Chris, man, it was an up and down all night long. Did you ever see yourself in that situation with the green-white checker there at the end?
No, my car was 8th or 9th place car at best. I figured I'd start in the back and try to work my way forward, but with all those cautions at the end, I just lucked into the top 5.
Yeah, it looked like you were struggling with your car, and we noticed during the night it looked like your car would go through a transition about 10-15 laps in, and basically wasn't where you were. Talk about the track conditions and how your car was handling throughout the race.
Well, the track, like Rob said, was pretty consistent to me, but the car just got way too free for me, and I just couldn't get a handle on it. Made some adjustments, and it just didn't work. So I was just trying to make the best of a bad situation and get a top 10. And with all those cautions, I was able to work my way all the way up to 3rd.
That's good. You're one of those ones that is battling for that non-chaser tournament right there. So that's definitely going to help you out with that situation with a top 3 there. Are you looking forward to the Homestead race coming up next weekend?
Yeah, I haven't raced there too much because it's always at the end of the season, one race a year. So I'm looking forward to running there and closing out the non-chaser tourney.
10-4 on that. Chris, real quick, is there anybody you want to give thanks to before we pass the mic?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates tonight. A lot of give and take. You guys put on a good show, sponsors, and just thanks for letting us have this good time every Saturday night.
10-4 on that. At 78, Doug looked like he wasn't going to have that good of a finish and bounces back and gets a top 3. And we understand you have another driver that just right there at the end of the race peak there, the 15-car driver, Darren Bench.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm standing by down here on pit lane with the driver, the number 15, Mr. Darren Bench. I tell you, Darren, seemed like the first part of the night, maybe you were struggling a little bit with the setup or so. Didn't really start peaking until about lap 200 or so. Kind of take us through the night.
Car for me started off really tight. And it seemed like middle of the run, my car would free up and get a little bit faster. And finally, once I realized that, it didn't look like we were going to have any fuel run or anything, I loosened the car up a little bit and gave it a little more speed on the short run. But the car felt great all night, just busy saving as many, tires as I could.
Now, that seemed to be the key tonight, saving tires and also pit road strategy. Was there any strategies employed tonight to try to help you out on pit road to get back up towards the front as far as, pit stop strategies?
I didn't really have any pit stops play out for me. I kind of seemed like every time I went in, had a pit stop, came out right where I was running, so I couldn't really make any positions there. And track position was extremely important tonight. If you lost a few positions, it took you a long time to get them back.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like the case of what we saw tonight. It was hard passing out there, but all that incident goes on right in front of you with the 3 car when he lost it out there, and all that mess right in front of you. It looks like you had your hands full trying to get through that. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I just didn't want to run over anybody. I didn't want to get any damage on my car either. It was running good. I thought maybe I might have had a shot at the win, but I was just doing my best to not get involved in that wreck right there.
All right, well, congratulations, Darren, on a hard-fought, a lot of strategy, I'm sure, placed into tonight's, coming home number 2. So, any sponsors or thank yous you want to put out there?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, my teammates really helped me out tonight. They every time I came around one, they kind of let me have the spot. I guess I really got to thank them because them giving me the spot really helped me gain positions quicker than racing I guess your rivals. But other than that, the NuffWorld sponsors, the boxer, I don't know what his name is, but appreciate that and appreciate everything NuffWorld does. Love these broadcasts, love watching them.
All right, well, congratulations, Darren, on coming home second tonight. Understand, Kevin, you're standing by with. Understand you're sitting, hanging out down on pit. I'm sorry, down in victory lane. Matter of fact, tonight with the driver of the 27.
Yeah, Doug, I've got the winner of the Bad Boys Boxing 500 down here. End of a dry spell a little bit for Mr. Dale Reynolds. Dale, did you believe at the beginning of the race when you had the tire pressures wrong and you come in, did you think that it would take you that long to get back out the front and get another win this year?
Woo, man. If you had told me that we were going to be even in contention to win this race at lap 20, I'd have told you that you were a huge liar, man. Wow. It just goes to show that this team never ever gives up, and we just keep fighting. Um, for some reason we had the tire pressures mixed up. They were still the qualifying pressures that we did when we started the race. I guess we had forgot to put them back, and it was definitely a struggle once we pit under there under green, and then the caution came out. We were lucky enough to be able to get a wave around there, and at least we were, I knew it was going to be tough getting through all the traffic. This track is very partial to lap traffic and to slower traffic and just having track position in general. So I knew it was going to be stiff, and it took a little while, but we finally got there. The car definitely was a great car, and we definitely got there. It was a little bit of a wait, but we got up front eventually.
Yeah, you had some great battles out there with a number of racers. That is, one battle in particular was your own teammate there, the 87, Kevin Kelly Jr. You guys would take turns leading there. One of you would get a little bit better run than the other one, and then the other one would come back. You guys really had strong cars all night long. Talk about how it felt to get up there in that top 5 and race with teammates like that.
Well, once we go back up to the top 5, it was almost kind of a sigh of relief. We were fortunate enough to come back to the front after starting in the back of the pack there, and obviously there's a lot of things that can happen in the back of the pack, like wrecks and stuff, and just trying to avoid all the mess. But man, it was an absolute blast racing Kelly Jr. there, man. That was so much fun, and not only just Junior, but everybody else that was up front. I know Brian Lee and Louis Bussa and a couple other guys up front, man. That was definitely a blast. I don't know how it was from the broadcast booth up there, but it was such a blast. I had such a blast with them, and I hate that Junior and Bussa and got involved in wrecks there. I hate it for those guys. Those guys really had some awesome cars, but it was such a blast, man. It was so much fun.
One of those restarts, Dale, the 08 looked like you got into the back of the 3, and it looked like you had a pretty good view of what happened there. How'd you kind of maneuver through that to get all through that mess?
It was crazy because on those I didn't have necessarily the best restarts. Actually, I got to thank Chris Melton, because on one restart he actually kind of gave me the boot, kind of got me going. I was sleeping on that one of those last restarts, but I look up in my mirror, and I guess Danny didn't get too good of a start, and I didn't see what happened exactly with Bussa. All I know is that by the time that I had seen what happened in my mirror, Bussa was sideways going into turn 1. I mean, I didn't really see the whole thing, but thankfully we had gotten enough of a jump going down the front straightaway where we were kind of clear of Danny there. Because I feel like that if we weren't really clear, if we still went in side by side, if Bussa, if it happened closer to us, it could have easily slid up the track and caused some damage, or even taken us and a whole bunch of other cars out. So thankfully we got enough of a jump there, and it all happened in the mirror.
10-4 on that. Dale, any sponsors, anybody you want to say thanks to?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody at EPR, all my teammates. We've been really making some huge gains as far as the program goes for every track, and I've been very, very, very honored that everybody's been working real hard at EPR for making the cars as good as they have. Finally got the win to show it. I want to thank Big Boys Boxing, thank them for sponsoring the race. You know, it's always cool to get some sponsors for these races, man. And I know that you know, especially in today's economy, you know, not tax dollars, but sponsorship dollars are very, very hard and very slim to come by. So any sponsor is definitely, definitely a great honor. All the NuffWORLD sponsors, TB Designs, his pole award. You know, I've won 3 of those in a row. I finally got the win. Finally got a win to go with a pole. But you know, TB Design, Start and Park Blog, Potomac, Diamond Medical, all the sponsors that help out this great league. Want to thank my personal sponsors there, Square Enix and its Final Fantasy brand. We got Final Fantasy X and X-2, the HD remake video game on the car. So awesome. Andy's Autosport, Eric the Car Guy on YouTube. You know, Final Fantasy, Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13, all the sponsors that make it work. Thank everybody in the booth there. I'm pretty sure it was an awesome race to look at, man, and I appreciate you guys bringing it to everybody in their house, man. It was such a great race.
And for all that, there's the winner of our Bad Boys Boxing 500, Mr. Dale Reynolds in a 27 EPR Chevy. Doug, we had one hell of a race tonight in just a lot of beating and banging, a lot of good racing. Not afraid to say that that was in the top 3 of the best races of this year. We still got one left, Doug.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that, Kevin. That was chase race number 9 of 10. And, you know, chase race number 10 coming to Homestead, Miami next week. Last race of the season. And going into that race, even with the unfortunate incident tonight, Lewis Bussell walks out of here with a 51-point lead in the point standings, Kevin. So, you know, unfortunate for Brian Lee, wasn't able to make up any ground tonight, even though Lewis Bussell did have a bad night. But I want to say special thank you tonight, you know, from Bad Boys Boxing, you know, for tonight's sponsorship. Heading into next week, Homestead Miami Speedway, November 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, you know, right here on NuffWORLD TV, you know, for the NuffWORLD Championship weekend. But, you know, I want to thank all of our sponsors, of course, you know, as we always do. Of course, TeamSpeak, you know, Diamond Medical, Spatial, Potomac, TB's Creative Designs, VSU, sponsoring the Valley Sports, or the VSU Cup Series, the Halls on Post, Team Cities USA, Start and Park Blog, Edinburgh Roadrunners, Divine for Design, and Game Informers, and especially for tonight's sponsor, you know, title sponsor, Grady Brewer's Bad Boys Boxing, Fitness, and Mixed Martial Arts down there in Oklahoma. And NuffWORLD, all of us up here in the booth and producers and all of NuffWORLD would like to extend a special thought and prayer to the family of the driver of the number 54, Charles Chapman, who was notified immediately after the end of the race of some, you know, ill fate of his father, who's currently, you know, in the hospital and such. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Charles Chapman and his entire family and loved ones there. And, you know, hope to hear a good report before we come back on the air next week. So, you know, until next week, race fans, have yourselves a good week, and we enjoy seeing you back here for Homestead Miami next week in championship weekend. So until next Saturday night, everyone have a good week, and come back to see us next week here on Nuff TV, same time, same channel.